Surrounded by the sacred stock car racing ground of North Carolina, Queen City awaits a fitting king to crown, but the suitors must take on a beast in Gen 4 power first before they can cement themselves worthy of Monday Night Racing royalty. Live from virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina, the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach10 Digital takes on the 5th race of the season as we bring you coverage of the Highland Homes Roofing 200. Happy to have you join us on Podium Esports tonight, where alongside Devin Henry in the booth, I'm Kenneth Bueno. Ryan Bauer is our producer for the night. He is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Devin, this season certainly has been fun to watch. Over the first 4 races, we've seen 4 different winners. It's the 5th season that has ever happened in Monday Night Racing history, but we return to the Gen 4 madness, back on a 1.5 miler in a while here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tonight should be a showcase of strategy, discipline, and again, probably some chaos as we trot forward in the 2023 schedule.
And on top of 4 different winners in the first 4 races of the year, 4 completely different combos, race cars, you name it. From the Dallara IR01 at Indy, Next Gen at Daytona, this Gen 4 car at Michigan, and the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen. I mean, we've had nothing similar week after week after week. We've had finishes completely different week after week after week. And even when you look at a race like this with the Gen 4 car, second time we use them this season, the type of strategy and the way that you play the game here at Charlotte is vastly different than what we saw 2 weeks ago at Michigan. So expect to see, really for the 5th straight week, a 5th completely different kind of race. And on top of that, I think we see a 5th completely different winner here to open up this season 7 schedule.
It's the first intermediate track, Devin, to take on the Monday Night Racing field in Season 7. We're going to get a little more to the Gen 4 action once we move forward into the playoffs. But for now, Gen 4 is at Charlotte tonight. Really the first sort of quote-unquote normal race of the regular season, but we move forward to trucks at Bristol. Then we sort of amp things up again. The GT4 Porsches at Long Beach. Pro 4 trucks make their debut at Wild West. And then we head to the Gen 4s at Atlanta, another 1.5 mile track to end the regular season on December 4th. Now, each of the drivers who have won a race this season, and even those who are still trying to play the consistency game in points throughout the season, Devin, are all chasing one thing, of course, the Monday Night Racing Championship. But for now, the first step is the playoffs, and we've mentioned it multiple times over this season. All of our broadcasts, we have talked about it at the open of the show, just how unique, just how wild, and just how important this playoff bracket is going to be to decide a champion this year.
And this is something like we have never seen in real world racing. We have not seen in Monday Night Racing in the past. This is not a win and you're in scenario. We just saw our schedule graphic. All those winners, they are not guaranteed to be in this year's postseason. It all comes down to points, and it all comes down to consistency into this winner-take-all bracket style system. We'll look more into that once we actually get closer to the bracket system, but you gotta look back at what we had in the world of NASCAR years ago. It's not win and you're in. It is a regular season of consistency and quality finishes. These 16 best drivers throughout the year make the playoffs, and after that, I'm really excited to see what we have, I don't know, quality-wise, competitive-wise, and just strategy-wise in a bracket format.
Well, if we're talking, Devin, previews of the playoffs and how the Gen 4 will play a role in that, that's going to be the most featured car over the postseason this year. So that's going to be very important. And these cars, Devin, are such a blast to drive. I think everybody was certainly happy to see that little accident that iRacing put out to the world in a patch or some sort of build where they gave the Arkham and Art Series car, a car that roughly has about 400 or so horsepower, around 725 horsepower to the rear wheels. This car is a ton of fun. It has a lot of power. It is not afraid to show it. It sort of tests the drivers in their own way and sort of brings back the memories of old Gen 4 racing in NASCAR.
Exactly, so reminiscent of the olden days. We're going to see that tonight. Different braking zones, off throttle time, multiple lines being used on the Charlotte Motor Speedway racetrack. Dumping in here to Concord, North Carolina. Like you said, in the Queen City, this is one of my favorite racetracks to visit now after seeing it this year. The turn's 24 degrees of banking, and also I didn't really notice this until I actually walked on the front straightaway for myself. The banking on the front straightaway too, there's a little bit there, and I think it kind of changed how I actually drive this racetrack as well. Pit speed 45 miles per hour, of course, a classic mile-and-a-half intermediate race course. Multiple lines, multiple grooves, Maybe a little bumping, a little bit of banging, but I think we're in for a lot of bit of fun here in the Gen 4s and intermediate.
This track is going to be a lot of fun. It's a beautiful 1.5 miler. It feels a little narrower, Devin, won't you say, than some of the others that we'll visit over the course of the season. And also, tonight will be only the second Monday Night Racing points-paying race held here at Charlotte. The last was in Season 5 with the Xfinity Series cars. Corey Highland went to victory lane then. That was underneath the lights. That was certainly a chaotic race. We might see some of the same here this evening. So Charlotte Motor Speedway prepping to be the stage for our discipline-filled afternoon into sunset here in Concord, North Carolina. And with that, we will take a moment to head down to the track and give you qualifying. Devin, this is one of the great things about Monday Night Racing and our coverage over the last couple of seasons is that we've been able to look at these drivers lap by lap as they put in qualifying efforts. They about get one lap to complete it. And with these Gen 4s, Devin, as a handful as they are to drive, it makes that lap more important for the drivers and puts a little pressure on them too.
Yeah, I'm actually a little peeved because I haven't had the opportunity racing in this series to do single car qualifying yet one-on-one because it's a completely different feeling than when you're doing the traditional iRacing. Everyone qualifies within a 5-minute span, essentially on their own racetrack. Here, you are sitting and watching the cars in front of you go. You are on your sim, watching the lap take place in real time and seeing what works, what doesn't work. When is he getting on the throttle? When does he get on the brake? When is he easing back into the throttle? And what we're doing right here, Christopher Tate on track right now, we reverse the order of practice times. Slowest, or in this case, no practice time recorded, goes first. Our fastest practicer, that being James Bickford, will go last. And everybody is watching these inside the sim. What is Christopher Tate doing here on his warm-up lap, on entry into one, down the tri-oval? And it is so interesting, so pressure-packed, seeing everyone go one at a time.
And as Christopher Tate crosses the line, the 3F Racing Chevrolet will cross the line for the first lap here in qualifying. Now, you bring up a great point, Devin, on those guys in that reverse order from practice. It gives you sort of an incentive to put a better hot lap in practice, because if you get to go later, you get to take some notes from those guys who go first and sort of have to bring the field to a trend type of speed and sort of put down a benchmark lap. That's exactly what Christopher Tate is doing right now. Comes a little tidy out of turn 4 and just grazing the infield, what was grass here at Charlotte. 30.783 as he crosses the line. First lap set for the 30 of Christopher Tate. So not a bad lap to kick things off, but we will have the rest of the field one by one take turns in their qualifying laps. I believe we don't have a driver out on the pit lane at the front right now, so we're gonna get word from race control. They are giving the 54 car next up, that is Steve Alfont, to line up at start finish or near a start finish to the pit road exit, but it appears now, Devin, I think we'll wait a little bit, but 30.7, not bad there for Christopher Tate. And you know, when you have those nerves of having to qualify first, it certainly probably gets to you a little bit, no?
Yeah, and Tate's not going to like that lap. Pretty squirrely coming off of turn number 2, and that's one of the major impacts of this race car. You talk about the horsepower going to the rear wheels. It is so dependent, your qualifying lap here, it's dependent on how you get into that throttle on corner exit, because what happens with all the power in those rear tires, especially on cold tires, it's really difficult to get heat in these tires on this warm-up lap. If you get onto that throttle either too early, you get onto it too hard, the rear end just wants to absolutely walk away from the rest of the car that happened to take coming off of 2, had to chase it back up the racetrack. And when you're wasting precious movements with the steering wheel having to get back in line for entry into 3, you're going to end up losing time. Jordan Buster now on track. And this isn't Daytona, Talladega. You don't have to ride the wall here in your warm-up, get into the speed lap. But you see right there how much input he's putting into the right coming off of the corner, because you really want to keep that car straight. And when you have the gas applied, boy, does that car just want to take off on you.
It does, and hence why in most Gen 4 races that we've seen, whenever we go on these onboard looks with Ryan Bauer, of course, giving us those great shots, in-car cameras, you're going to see them have that steering wheel pointed to the right more often than not. They're either going to have it straight or all the way to the right. You will really not see it pivot to the left all too much, and you see Jordan Buster trying to hold on to the middle lane. It's a little close to that outside wall. We'll see if that does invalidate his lap, but he will cross the stripe. It will not. 30.551 for the 8 of Jordan Buster. So that got really close. Devin had to swing the car up the banking and almost got it into the safer barrier, but fortunately keeps it away from harm and evades that 0x contact that it will give you on iRacing if you hit the outside barrier. thus invalidating the lap. So Buster will be able to clock into time so far at the top of the board. Here is the third car in line. Noah Lewis, driver of the number 95, the North Carolina native, just got fresh off of covering the NASCAR Cup Series championship race at Phoenix just last afternoon. And Devin, I mean, you were there, so I'm sure that you probably got to see Noah, maybe got to talk to him quite a bit. But Noah will come out of turn number 4, will cross the start-finish line. We'll see exactly what kind of lap he will put up. 31.101 puts him third.
Yeah, Noah's one of the guys who was astounding me tonight because, yes, I did see him at Phoenix covering the race, and the owner of TSJ Sports, well, I'm astounded that some of these guys got back to Charlotte this quick and then was able to hop onto the sim this next day. It was a long, long weekend. Another guy who was at the race last night, the freelance photographer Mark Rabillis, and got to talk to Mark a lot over the weekend, Phoenix native. He did miss the Truck Series race on Friday. I know he missed a really, really entertaining and long race on Friday night because he had to go shoot Wemby at the Suns game with his camera and being able to see Devin Booker, I think the first time this season. But yeah, Mark's someone always fun to see at the racetrack. He'll be sprinting around and whatnot. No matter where you see him, that little Bitcoin hat's flying around.
Yeah, that truck race was certainly a marathon, if you call it that, but Mark Rabillis here crosses the line. That's the fastest we've seen out of the 4, 30.47 for the driver of the 99. So Rabillis does put in a decent time. I won't say, though, that I'd complain if I went to go see Victor Wembanyama, number 1 NBA draft pick, facing against the Phoenix Suns, and they did end up winning that game, too. So pretty cool to see that as Mark Rabillis went to the game. Here's Brett Baldeck in the number 4 machine. Beautiful Motorscape colors on behalf of Gary Sexton, his painter on a Dodge Intrepid on his Gen 4. And there's a look at Baldeck's camera on the bottom right. He swings the car up high, so it does lift about a lane or so. Comes out of turn 4, looks rather clean. We'll see what he puts up. And it looks like that will be, as he crosses the stripe, 30.477.
Wow.
It's had slower than Mark Rabillis, but really close. 3/1000ths of a second, the difference.
Yeah, that was a tight one right there, and he lost a little bit of time on exit of 4 there. Got in, I think, too hot and really pushed that car up the racetrack. Matt Stolnick now onto the track here in the black number 41 Chevy machine. And this is a track where you see him. He's the first guy really on the painted line on the inside. This is not a racetrack where you need to do that in order to have the most effective and efficient lap, but especially if you get into the corner well, being on that line can help, but it's okay if you're a few feet above that line here.
It looks like the 41, though, is keeping close to that blue and white line at the bottom end of the racetrack, so he wants to keep this line as short as possible. 30.315, reflective of the lap that the 41 puts up. He goes to the top of the board. As they'll bring up the next driver here will be Robbie Lyons, the Seminole, Florida native and Season 3 champion of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series. And just to note on Matt Stolnick, he became, Devin, sort of the comeback driver in the Gen 4 Summer Series a couple of months ago. More often than not, he'd start near the rear of the field, wouldn't put a qualifying time, but every single race, he would find himself in the top 10 near the end of it, and he would claw and fight for every last position that was on tap there, as the 2 car will go way up high in 1 and 2. We'll look for 3 and 4 this time through. So the Florida native wrestling the wheels. He tries to bring it to the bottom of the track.
And he's gaining time here at 3 and 4. I don't think it's going to be enough, but he dug that car deep into 3 and 4 after looking like he was at the Outlaw World Finals this weekend on the dirt track through 1 and 2. Comes across the line at 32.04, and he left a lot on the plate, I think, too. We're going to get some faster laps, but Lyons did a great job in 3 and 4 recovering there.
Oh, and Josh Slate
not so much
goes
here.
Sideways and right into the pit barrels. Josh Slate was going for the outlap here and going for his first, and unfortunately gets into the pit barrels. So our first bit of chaos here in qualifying. And the 01, I think, just got a little too much mustard on the exit there, and I think did grab the outside wall, Devin. He did at the entrance of 3, so had to sort of gather it up, pick up all the speed. He hopped on the gas pedal, and that's when it unraveled from his fingertips. The 01 of Josh Slate going around.
Yeah, Slate going with the Kyle Larson there, and we have sand all over the racetrack here like we did at Homestead. No, Slate's another one of the guys who this weekend was at Phoenix Raceway, and so he's able to fly back out to Charlotte and get himself up on the sim. And he has himself ready to go. And now Monin Ronham out onto the racetrack. And so we'll see what this 44 car has, because, boy, has he been fast so far this year. Got to see him in the Dallara car back at Indianapolis during qualifying, too. And this is, in addition to the league, that I think is definitely going to be someone to fight with throughout the season with the speed that he brings into this race car.
He certainly has been an underrated driver since his entrance into Monday Night Racing from the Summer Series a couple of months ago, and he had the chance to run some of the Super Speedway races, and I'm not sure whether he did run any of the Gen 4 races, but Super Speedways was his forte at the time. Now he's stepping into full-time Pro Series racing. He'll cross the line and try to go for the lap as of right now in the car number 44. Certainly looking for a rebound after last week's result. Finished 25th and the penultimate driver on the lead lap in the Highland Homes Roofing Challenge with the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen. So Rahman is looking for just a better showing tonight from Charlotte. Really close to that blue and white line at the bottom. Just goes up about half a lane. Comes out.
This is like a great lap.
And it looks like this will be a really clean one for Moten Rahman off of turn 4 to the start-finish line. 30.193. So you bet, fastest on the board out of the 9 drivers, rather 8 to put in a qualifying time.
Near flawless, about a tire and a half width above that white line. Dug it in really well, was floating off the corners almost precisely. That's going to be one of our best laps, I think. Nick Olsen now on track. Him and Robbie Lyons, of course, have done a lot of stuff here together. Robbie Lyons' car actually looking a lot like the 17 car that he ran at Daytona back in February to open up the ARC Menard Series season. Olsen here in his grid number 24 machine. He's right up here on this blue and white line on the inside.
He is hugging that painted line at the bottom of the track, and that'll be a talking point over the course of the race. We'll get into that in just a bit, but Olsen focused on this lap, 30.162. So faster than Moten Rahman, the Grit Esports Chevrolet to the top of the board. Olsen, a one-time winner this season. He opened the season with a W with the IR01s at Indianapolis, beating his teammate Brandon Houck to the stripe. And here is Chase Cabry way loose in a 1 and 2.
Boy, he was chasing that thing up the track, but if we know anything about Chase, he has the ability to continue moving up that speed. So had to chase that car up the track, and now you're just trying to dig it into 3 and 4 again right here on this white line. Little bit extra action there in that steering wheel, but boy, he's got speed off of 4.
He's going to try and carry it all the way to the end of this lap, and he's got the fastest time, 30.058. So Devin, the laps only continue to get faster and faster as we get each driver on the board. Next up is his brother, Cole Cabry, two of the Speed Factor drivers on for a qualifying duel, and the 51 who performed rather well here at Charlotte before ultimately backing out midway through the race. He's going to look to rebound from that Summer Series night, and car number 51 looks to complete 3 and 4 on this lap.
This is the scary thing about the Cabrys. They know exactly how hard to push these machines, fight that fine line. You see him bringing that car back to the right. This one's going to be fast as well. He's on borderline, about to spin out. A 30.047, got his brother there by just 11 one-thousandths of a second.
A little bit of a sibling rivalry there, wouldn't you say? As here's Ford fighting the wheel out of turn 4. But he's all over the place here out of the final corner.
Like
that's his outlap, though. Yeah, he's all over the place right now. He's got the Titans hat on, so I'm sure sort of repping Will Levis and company as the 07 goes up in 1 and 2. And you can tell the difference, Devin, between certain drivers and others in the way they handle the sort of outlandishness of this Gen 4 car. As soon as it starts to rip away from your grasp, there are some guys who like to fight the wheel. They believe it makes them faster. Some others that really are timid with the race wheel, and they want to be as straight as they can be to make this lap as comfortable as they'd like it to be. And here for Ford Martin, his lap is a 30.204, puts him directly in the middle of all the drivers to put a qualifying time. That's good enough for P6.
And to your point there, Kenneth, because when you fight the wheel, it's not just about fighting the wheel, it's knowing how to fight the wheel. Because not only are you steering with the steering wheel, but the best racers are also steering with the gas pedal. And you're almost counteracting how much throttle you're putting in to go forward. The car's turning left as well, the rear end's kicking out. So you're using that steering wheel to correct how much feedback you're putting into the throttle to help turn the car through the corners. The best race car drivers know how to fight the steering wheel to maximize speed. A lot of fighting right here from Alex, too.
Monteferrante will cross the line, 30.022, and it's a 1-2-3 for the Speed Factor Fords right now. Monteferrante tops the board in car number 97. And the Speed Factor machines look like they have a lot of speed and pace tonight. As here's Bailey Turner, car number 5, as he tries to go into 1 and 2, way up on that blue and white line. And for Turner, came away with a 30th place, 18 lap down finish with the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen last week. He was disqualified in last week's race, and Turner, who has been somewhat on a tumultuous season, despite still being one of those drivers in the top 10 in point standings. He's looking for a good lap this time by to put him high on track position out of turn 4 to the start-finish line, 30.086. So that'll be just a hair faster than Nick Olsen, still slower than Chase Cabry. That puts him in 4th place.
Former champions and an in-race reporter tonight for us here in Charlotte, Presley Sora, the Indiana native. Of course, we always know that Presley brings the speed, getting more and more real-world on-track action as well. That's scary for the drivers in this league. I don't want Presley getting more real-life experience. He's already good enough just on the sim alone.
The Asphalt late model driver goes into 3 and 4 way up on the bottom. You see how tidy of a wheel he keeps it out, but he's going to get out of turn 4 with no problem. And the Toyota Camry comes out of the final corner, 30.033. So that puts him 2nd and breaks the train of speed factor cars that have so far dominated this session of qualifying. Sora, we'll talk to him over the course of tonight's Highland Homes Roofing 200. Sora will slow down, he'll give way and enter pit road. Here is the 3, Gary Sexton, all the way to the bottom of the racetrack as he tries to put in his lap, and just all over the place and just trying to make sure he can keep that car steady. One of the Gen 4 cars with super decals on it. Devin, not often you see super decals on a Gen 4, but nonetheless still looks rather pretty, and it's a not so pretty exit out of 4, rather loose for car number 3, but the, what is it, Wither Bloom? I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. I need to see that a little closer here, but the car of the number 3, 30.125, and that puts him inside P6.
Colin Fern on track now, the number 96 machine, owner of a part-time Xfinity Series team at FRS Racing, and this is another guy who he knows how to fight with these Gen 4 cars to maximize the speed, and it's someone who, when you're racing at a track like Charlotte that you know you got to beat, you're going to have to pass this guy if you're going to want to win the race here tonight.
He finished top 10 last time we were here at Charlotte with the Gen 4 cars in the Summer Series, and Fern, of course, the personality that he is. I remember at Gen 4s at Michigan, the week before he had called that he was going to win that race. Unfortunately, did not, but Gen 4 is certainly a car that he loves very much on iRacing, and Fern knows a thing or two about whipping these cars around, and that's the fastest time we see so far, 30.010. So for the car 96, Colin Fern to the top of the board.
I think both Fern and I'll throw Sora in that mix too. Those are probably the smoothest fast laps that we've seen so far. Really not chasing the car up the corner on exit, not really playing karate with that steering wheel. Really 2 of the most smoothest laps that we've seen with that kind of pace.
It sort of tells you that maybe loose all the way isn't the fastest here around Charlotte as the sun comes down quite a bit. Here's Ronnie Osborne, driver of the number 55 from Pearl River, Louisiana. Comes out of turn 4 to the quad oval. That's a 30.353, puts him 13th. So the Dude Wipe Chevrolet will start around mid-pack if he stays there, or we'll see if he gets bumped down in just a little bit. We'll have the next driver up, and this is Corey Deucer. So I guess, Devin, another speed factor car we might have to worry about, because Deucer has been rather quick this season. He's a rookie driver in Season 7, but he's not a driver to just scoff at. He's certainly one of those that you may have to watch for knocking on the door for his first career win. He finished in P14 last week at Watkins Glen, but with the Gen 4s at Michigan, surely he did show out, and it's a very high line and have to whip the car sideways out of turn 4. But Corey Deucer with the fastest time, 30.008. Deucer brings it on pole for now.
Coming into tonight, 4 points behind Matt Stalling for that 16th and final playoff spot, but also just 10 points behind Monin Rahman, and he's in 11th right now. So right now we got a dogfight right around the outside of the top 10, going all the way down to about 21st. So tonight could be a very important night in terms of trying to understand this playoff image a little bit better. Reed Wilson gets a little bit out of whack there in turn 2. He got it going forward though.
When you're talking about, Devin, track position and trying to get finishes for points, that is certainly going to matter. Consistency is super key, and qualifying is going to be part of the equation as well. Here's Reed Wilson, driver of the 66, coming out of 4. We'll put in his time, 30.289. And I'm going to sort of monitor, Devin, this little maybe fight between himself and his teammate Joey Padgett, because over the last couple of weeks we've heard a lot from Reed Wilson where he consistently says that Joey sucks. So, I mean, we'll see that little development over the course of tonight's race. Ryan Vargas,
boy.
one of our in-race reporters tonight, loose out of 2. And will barely miss the inside wall. So a great save, all smiles for Vargas. Don't think he minds that the qualifying time will be invalidated. Just a little happier, Devin, that the critical path security Chevrolet is still in one piece.
Obviously, a real-world driver, has been racing in Europe with the Whelen Series in Belgium and Germany as well. And this is another guy who knows how to drive these iRacing machines to their full capacity and max speed. He was flirting with that line, and he went over it, and he knew it instantly with that big smile on his face. Yeah, I'm not worried about the slow qualifying time. I think we'll see Vargas up front tonight.
Yeah, Vargas will have to do a little back-to-front challenge tonight from Charlotte. We'll keep eyes on him over the course of the race. Here's another Speed Factor Ford Fusion. This is Michael Fisher, driver of the number 32 machine. And what have we seen out of Michael Fisher so far this season? A lot of impressiveness out of him over the course of the year. He finished top 10 in our last Gen 4 race at Michigan over the summer series. He also impressed as well, and as he crosses the line, not a bad lap at all, 30.077. So that will put him in 7th place ahead of Bailey Turner, bumps him down a spot. And next up, Devin, is Mario Miranda, and we've had a good chance, Devin, to talk a lot about the driver from Tulsa, Oklahoma, whether it be another series here, the Sunoco Cup Series on Podium Esports, or what may have you, the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Mario has almost done it all, and here he is back in Monday Night Racing competition from his Sooner Esports camp on campus, and Miranda looking for a great lap here to kick off his Gen 4 Season 7 campaign off on the right foot as he comes out of 4, crosses the line. This will be 30.071. Good enough for P7.
I think Miranda, out of all the additions this year to Monday Night Racing, by far my least favorite addition to the series because, like you said, we've seen him a lot. I know he's good. I want to race against this kid. Getting more real-life experience as well. He's grown up and lives right next to the Tulsa Expo Center, the home of the Chili Bowl Nationals. I don't want this kid to race him against. I mean, I know how good he is. This is someone who's going to make a lot of noise this season in Monday Night Racing. I'm really excited to see what he does this season and excited to see exactly when that first win might show up.
And we talk about impressing the field, guys like Michael Fisher, who came in as rookie drivers. Miranda is in that same boat. One who isn't is DJ Cummings, who has been around basically since the inception of this series, one of the pillars of Monday Night Racing, and a very good lap so far for the eNASCAR Ford. Comes out of turn 4, and this time by 30.009, 1/1000th short of the pole, a little under Corey Deucer, but not by much. What a lap by DJ Cummings.
2 1,000ths, and that's another reason why I love this live qualifying, because he knows going across the line exactly what that number is and what he pulled out of the hat there. And, you know, I'm always curious, I haven't asked any of these guys yet, but what are they watching during these qualifying sessions? Because if I were qualifying right now, I'm watching Deucer's lap. I'm now watching DJ's lap, right? I'm trying to take some notes. This is a lap that I'll be watching live, though. Adam Cabot, former champion of Monday Night Racing, another guy who just knows how to get the most out of these virtual cars.
And here's the 17, the Atlas Hair Care Chevrolet. Crosses the stripe. This one will come in at 29.940. Devin, the first driver we see break the 29-second bracket. Adam Cabot, the magic man from Glen Gardner, New Jersey, to the top here in Charlotte.
No surprise, we have one of the fastest practice speeds. We are now down to the top 3 speeds from practice. Counted down to this man right here, Joey Paget, the number 83 machine. I think Paget, Hoff, Bickford, they got something to say here before qualifying's all said and done.
Yeah, we have a little under 10 drivers to put into qualifying time. Here is the Jack Daniels, number 83. And remember when I mentioned the 66 of Reed Wilson, probably keeping track of where Joey is going to be on qualifying, to just say that Joey sucks again. Joey Paget will come out of 4 to the start-finish line. This one way faster than Reed Wilson's lap, 30.098. Great lap for Joey Paget. So, again, that little rivalry between those Team Joyride teammates, I guess that'll continue over the night.
Boy, Haas been consistent so far this season. Second fastest in practice tonight. 2 top 10s to top 5 here in season number 7. Right now, I'm thinking he's going to be one of the guys that we're going to watch in this playoff battle potentially. Has some speed here in the number 9 machine. Can he get to the top of the board here? Final 2 drivers here in qualifying.
And we'll have another driver after this. We assume that it is going to be James Bickford here. And then we'll have Brandon Brown, who's on pit road. And
Wow.
Josh Slate and others put in the times, but 29.938 for Brandon House. So I guess the fast laps aren't quite done yet. The 9 car to the top of the board, as here is the Charlotte Phoenix James Bigford machine winner from last week at Watkins Glen, looking to keep the flames alive here at Charlotte. We'll see what lap he's got.
Only 7 points behind your current points leader, Adam Cabot, coming into tonight, yet to score a pole. He was the fastest in qualifying with a 29.801. If he can do it again, they'll be fast enough for quick time tonight.
Bigford with the most poles in Monday Night Racing history. And we saw a lot of that back in Season 6, the way Bigford has been able to put in heaters and be at the top of the board when we get the green. Does Bigford have enough to get the top of the board this time? No, he does not. 29.951. That does put him inside the top 3, but not faster than Cabot and from House. So it appears that will do it for qualifying here tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be a couple of moments away from the green flag. Brandon Howe from the 9 grabs the pole here in the Highland Homes Roofing 200. He will lead the field to green here as we continue our coverage of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach10 Digital. That Grit Esports Dodge will look good up front here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be back in a moment on Podium Esports.
Mach10. Let's give Mach10.
You're cleared for takeoff.
back to Charlotte as we continue coverage of the 5th race in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach10 Digital and the Highland Homes Roofing 200. We had a stellar qualifying session, multiple drivers taking the top spot in qualifying, but let's take you trackside and bring you to tonight's starting grid as we get closer to the green flag tonight in our second Gen 4 race of the season. Brandon Half in the 9 puts up a 29.938 second lap to bring us to the green flag first. You will have the New Jersey native Adam Cabot on the outside. That brings up row number 1. Last week's winner, James Bickford, will look for 2 in a row. He starts inside row number 2. Corey Deucer for Speed Factor will start inside of the top 5. He is 4th. TJ Cummings with a beautiful qualifying time, a little over 30 seconds on the bracket. The 10 car starts inside the top 5. Colin Fern for FRS Racing in the 96 starts in position number 6. Alex Monteferrante in the 97 is in 7th place. Presley Sora, the Indiana driver, is behind him in 8th. And the last row inside the top 10, Devin Henry, Cole Cabry, and Chase Cabry, the 2 brothers, inside the first 10 drivers in tonight's race.
Hey, brotherly love there in row number 5. We got the Oklahoman Mario Moreno starting this race off in P11. Michael Fisher beside him outside of row number 6. Brings up Bailey Turner, the number 5 machine, starting P13. Joey Padgett alongside him in the 14th position. Top 15 rounded out by Gary Sexton in the number 3 car. Nick Olson to his outside, winner already so far this season. Monin Robin will start in P17. Outside of him in row number 9 is the former champion Robbie Lyons. Foul row inside the top 20 is the boss man Ford Martin in P19. Alongside him the 66 machine of Reed Wilson.
Matt Stolnick rolls from 21st on the starting grid. Ronnie Oscar in the 55 on his outside in 22nd. Mark Rebillis and Brett Baldick, the 99 and the 4, will house row number 12 in tonight's race. Jordan Buster is inside row number 13 in 25th. Christopher Tate for 3F Racing. He was the first driver to kick off qualifying. He starts in 26th position. Noah Lewis in the 95 is 27th. Ryan Vargas, the La Mirada, California native, went for a spin in qualifying. He is 28th. Blake McCandless is in 29th. Corey Heim, or rather it appears Brandon Brown will be on the outside. Corey Heim did register a little bit there on the timing and scoring a little off. Joshua Slate and Steve O'Farm will bring up the 32 car field from Charlotte, North Carolina. So tonight's race is 133 laps. We go a little under 200 miles. And Devin, this race is going to be somewhat of an endurance race. Of course, 133 laps isn't the most. It certainly isn't more than what we usually have in the NASCAR Cup Series here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But this race is going to be a long one. And with the 100% max fuel, it's going to provide a decent challenge for the guys tonight.
Yeah, and that's also going to be just 200 miles. I mean, that's the length of some NASCAR races that we have in the real world here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm looking at the 4 tire sets available over the course of 133 laps. How these guys are going to split those up, I'm really curious about that. And, of course, we're going to see the multi-groove racing. I think that's what I'm most excited to see.
When you have the tires that wear out this much with engines this powerful, we're going to see how wide the racing gets here from tonight's race. Let's bring in one of our 2 in-race reporters for tonight's Highland Homes Roofing 200, and we'll first talk with the Critical Path Security number 26 and Ryan Vargas behind the wheel. Ryan, we did see you go for a little bit of a spin in qualifying, so you weren't able to fully get in a qualifying time to put you up front, but is tonight worthy of a last to first challenge, a back to front challenge here at Charlotte?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As I'm going to commentate my way through this race start here, I was just pushing it. I'd rather be in the back of the pack after trying to go fast than going slow. So we're coming to the green here. Green flags in the air here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Monday Night Racing event here. I don't know the name of it. I'm sorry to whoever is the name as we're going. Oh God, somebody's on the apron. Mark! Anyways, no, it's always fun to have Critical Path Security on the race car, whether it's virtual or in real life. It's been a lot of fun working with them. Just had an absolute blast the last few weeks going overseas, racing the truck at Talladega. And now we're trying to save tires and not spin out again here at Charlotte on the sim.
All right, Ryan, we'll let you get to it. It was a hectic start here at Charlotte. Best of luck out on the track in this first run, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you soon.
I hope so. Hopefully it's in victory lane. Last to first, baby.
All right, Vargas starting from mid-20s here at Charlotte. We'll monitor his progress as we move forward. But Devin, we saw a fantastic battle for the lead. There were 3 wide, and now James Bickford has pulled away to about half a second of an advantage over Adam Cabot and Brandon Houff. The Charlotte Phoenix Chevrolet is wasting no time on the jump.
I think at this point, if I'm Cabot or Houff, I'm saying, dude, go ahead. Bickford, I don't think he's going to necessarily burn off the tires too quick, but at the pace that he's setting right now, he's going to definitely be utilizing those tires on the right rear and the right front a little bit more than we're going to have Cabot and Houff. I think at this point, just let him sail away a little bit here. If this opening stint goes green at all, you're going to catch back into the rear bumper that 29 at some point, I think.
Yeah, it was sort of interesting as well to see Brandon Houff make a challenge for the race lead there with Adam Cabot. Both of them were side by side, and then the 29 came out of nowhere. The 17 and the 9 backed up and said, whoa, 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 maybe a little too much for us here in the opening laps of the race. They settle in single file. Adam Cabot will try and chase car number 29 here on lap number 4. We did see a car go around for a slight spin. It was the 44 of Monin Rahman. So there he is, way behind the pack, just crossing the start-finish line. And Devin, while there was no contact with the 44, he kept it out of the outside wall. Losing all that track position early is going to hurt. That little mistake when a caution doesn't fly puts you closer to being a lap down as we look on board with Corey Deucer holding on to top 5.
Deucer running that fifth spot, almost the entirety of the top 10 single file in the inside lane. The one driver who is not conforming, that's being chased Cabri. Issues in the back, Brandon Brown. He got wicked loose. I don't know if there's contact there or not, but he gets into the wall at turns 1 and 2. Nearly our first casualty because that was some pretty significant damage there to the outside wall. Looks like got a little bit of a bump there from Slate. Yep, I think you're right.
So Slate gave him some help, and the 12 went sideways, got a piece of the outside wall. And you can see there a bit of the damage. And even then, Brandon Brown is still trying to keep that Chevrolet pointed in the right direction. We'll take another look at it. And Devin, you brought up a great point. Different braking markers. Big thing here with these Gen 4s where drivers have different levels of comfort with this car. That's just a prime example of different braking markers and who's braking first and how that miscommunication can cause a bit of chaos.
Yeah, personally, it's one of my greatest downfalls in all of sim racing, and I would assume in real life racing as well, is I really don't understand everybody's own braking points. And it can change throughout the course of the run when you're utilizing your tires differently, when they're wearing at different times in the race compared to your competitors. But understanding where the guy in front of you is going to stab those brakes and get himself slowed down for corner entry. They might be diving into the corner harder, trying to spend this first run a little bit less conservative. They might be going early to try to save some tires in a long green flag run, but understanding where those braking points are, especially when you're running up front with these guys who really know how to utilize these cars. There's one car around Miranda. Across the front straightaway, he goes off the nose. I think that was the 32 car. No caution, we stay green as Miranda flies into the infield.
A tough break for Miranda, who the last time we were here with the Gen 4s at Charlotte, he got spun around, running for top 5 position, ended up finishing really far down in the running order under the top 30, and we'll take a look at exactly what happened. So you were right, Devin. Car number 32 is to be in this situation. Just a minimal contact there. They both collected together as they were going through the quad oval, and the 89 locks it up, holds on to it, and the car does come to rest in the infield grass. But for Miranda, much like Monin Rahman, in their given situations, no caution is going to come out. We will stay green, and so car number 89 will have to sort of wait either until a caution comes out or something gives him a chance to get back to the front. Here's Brandon Houff trying to work on the rear bumper of Adam Cabot, who you're looking at right now on the bottom right of your screen. They're still about a second or so behind James Bickford in the 29, but this might get a little contentious. And talk about multiple lanes. Here comes Houff in the Grit Esports Dodge to the top, trying to arc it out, but can't quite find the momentum to get around this 17.
And the more we see the tires wear, the more we're going to see multiple lanes utilized. There's Cabot now on the top of 3 and 4. Houff trying to get a little bit of a grip here down the inside. He's going to go wheel to wheel here, door to door, and they're side by side for P number 2 going down the front straightaway. And this is complete full sunshine. We're going to see sunshine on the track for the entirety of the race. Track temp right now already 91 degrees, so the heat already is going to make it a little bit of a different story with the tire wear than you would if this was a nighttime race. So it's going to completely change how these drivers are going to attack the surface of this racetrack as the tires wear off throughout the run.
And tire conservation is the biggest key here with these Gen 4 cars when you're getting all that power sent to those rear wheels, something is going to go awry if you get a little too eager on the accelerator pedal. So everyone at this juncture of the race, even at lap 12, still rather early, they are all in that sort of conserve and save mode. Maybe not fuel, but it's going to be rubber that they want to hold on for the rest of the run. And when we were here last at Charlotte with these cars back in the summer series, while it wasn't a points-paying race, it certainly felt like when Devin's strategy kicked in late in the going, that's exactly how James Bickford was able to walk away with the win. Fuel and tire strategy sort of came up into the mix. How important are you keeping that balance as a driver when you're considering all the factors that go into possibly creating a successful long run? How do you try and balance either fuel or tire saving, and even just the way you're handling this car to make sure that over the run, maybe 30, 40 laps in, you're still as quick as you were on lap number 1?
Well, you're never going to be as quick as you were on lap number 1 if you're saving your tires correctly, right? And I think that some of the best race car drivers, they understand the balance of conserving fuel and conserving tires, because at the end of the day, the brakes are a fuel-saving killer. When you're using the brakes and having to get back on the gas to get the car back up to speed, you're going to have to use more gas out of that fuel tank. But on the same note, when you're maybe just tapping the brakes, maybe giving a little more brake, you're saving that right front tire a little bit more. You're not giving more of a workload on that right front to help slow down the car as it turns. So there's a balance to be found there 24/7. Osmer there going off the wall out of turn number 2. Kind of a similar story when you're trying to figure out how you're going to run these lines and get yourself the best kind of tire conservation while also trying to peek around a little bit, find out where you need to go. On board here with Cole Cabrey, he's right behind his brother Chase, running 2 completely different lines. They take away the tires 2 completely different ways. Although I do like the way that Cole is utilizing the X of the corner, kind of cutting off the exit there and dominating back down out of turn number 2. I like his approach there coming out of turn 2, and the brothers swap going into 3 and 4. You can use a bunch of different lines here at Charlotte.
You definitely can, although this track does feel a little more confined than other 1.5-mile tracks we will visit over the season. Homestead of Miami being one of them. The old Atlanta surface is also a contender in that as well, as you watch on the rear bumper of DJ Cummings sitting in 4th, and a nice little slide job there for Cole Cabrey. Chase had the opportunity to go right back on the inside and make it a fight for 5th, but he does not. He holds back on his brother, but not holding back is Presley Sora, who started tonight's race in 8th. That's exactly where he is, now slotting into 7th. Him and Corey Deucer going at it. And so a look on board with Sora. On the bottom right, you see his face as focused as ever. The Season 5 champion of the series, trying to work on the 04 as the 2 cars in front go way up top.
Yeah, the Cabrey brothers up there going up top, and Sora's going to have to relinquish this position here to the 04 machine. Deucer's going to take over P7, where at least hold off story here is you continue to find different lines, different ways to utilize your race car. Deucer kind of comes off an entry, off an exit there in turn number 4. Sora right back up to that rear bumper, and you have to really be conservative in the way that you race, guys. And the way that I mean that is if you're racing someone and you know that you're faster than them, you just got to go. But when you're racing someone and you know maybe I don't know if I'm going to go much further when I pass this guy, he's going to just pass me back, then maybe you just sit and wait for a minute, because you're going to utilize more tires the more often you're side by side going into and out of a corner. So you have to find, again, that balance, especially in these Gen 4 cars, of how to utilize your race car in a run here. Coming to complete lap number 18, a pretty decent green flag run right now. And you mentioned me earlier about having the balance of like fuel conservation and tire conservation. In this series in particular, if we go 5 laps without a caution, I go into fuel save and tire save mode, right? But I know for a fact that I'm going to try to go as hard as I can for about 4 or 5 laps while those tires are fresh and cold. And then if we get a caution, okay, I can cool it back down, we can rest, whatever. But once we go about past 5 laps in a green flag run, I know, okay, I need to settle down a little bit and get into a rhythm. So that way, if this is a 20, 30, 40 lap green flag run, we've seen races go wire to wire Monday Night Racing. We've seen 20 cautions in a row Monday Night Racing. You never know what you're going to get, but I want to be prepared for if it's a long green flag run, that my pit strategy, my tire strategy can get me to the end of the race in a successful way.
So in that long green flag run, if you find yourself in that fully safe mode, are you one of those guys to be full overcut? It looks like we have our first caution of the night here at Charlotte. One car way slow on the front straightaway and spun around. That's Brett Baldick. So trouble on lap 20, and the Motorscape Dodge Intrepid of Baldick will come to a halt. We'll finally get back going. Looks like minimal damage to the number 4 machine. We'll try and dial up exactly what happened, but I believe, Devin, if we do look back at the replay, we'll get it to you in a couple of moments. Josh Slate, the driver involved. Here's a look at the contact.
Yeah, I'd have to see that again. It looked like Baldock maybe staying up. Both of them were a little bit higher than I would anticipate either of them going into the tri-oval. We had that earlier incident with Miranda. That was kind of the case of the inside car coming outside further. Yeah, Slate's a little bit off the wall, but Baldock coming up the corner there, and they meet in the middle, and kind of similar with what we saw with Miranda. I felt like Miranda and Fisher were just kind of coming into each other. And that was just kind of a racing deal. On board here with Slate. He's hugging the wall here on the outside lane. It's a bit lower than you would always think on exit, but Baldock just continues coming up the track there. You might have thought he was clear though too, just barely nabbing the right rear quarter panel, and that's going to be actually maybe some significant damage there for Baldock.
I was about to echo your point there. It looks like the Ford just thought he was going to be able to clear Slate, and that Slate would just back out after using the high line in turns 3 and 4. He did not. He kept his nose in it, and all of a sudden you have that contact that sends Baldock around. We have our first caution here from Charlotte. We do have a bit of a split strategy though, Devin. 22 laps in, and while you were talking about save mode, is lap 22 the right moment to come on pit road for tires and fuel? Looks like here for the 9 of Brandon Houff, he comes away first. That's an 8.5 second stop, and that appears to be just fuel only for the Grit Esports number 9.
Yeah, instantly when that caution came out, I was already thinking as a driver, I do not like where this caution came out at. They're going to have 4 sets of tires on pit road. So if you're going today, if you're going 25, 50, 75, 100, like, I don't know. I would try to wait a little bit longer, but not that many cars stayed out here on old tires too. So you also don't want to be someone that's getting mauled by these guys in the back with those fresh tires. But the first guy who chose not to go on pit road, Presley Sora, one of our in-race reporters.
And we are joined by Sora now. First of all, Presley, welcome to the Podium Esports broadcast booth. You have the lead right now, but over the first 22 laps, what have you experienced? What have you gathered so far in tonight's race?
Yeah, we're all just tire saving right now, so the guys that are fast are, I mean, they're probably pretty quick, but no one's shown their actual pace until we get later on into this event. So I know I've got a lot left in it. Yeah, I just don't want to show my cards too early, but we want to play a little strategy game here. We weren't even halfway in our fuel run, so we figured why not stay out, save a set of tires, and maybe have one extra on these guys at the end.
It's all about having that rubber for the end of the race, but let's talk a little grand scheme of things before you get ready for this restart on lap number 24. You came into tonight tied for 3rd in point standings. Consistency has been a factor for you over the year. How important is a race like this, as Gen 4 will creep very much into the conversation when we head to playoff time?
Yeah, it's important. The guys that are fast right now are going to be quick in the playoffs. It's just a guarantee. So what you see later on in this race, the guys that are running up front battling for the win, expect them doing the same thing in the playoffs. And I've been pretty consistent so far this season. There's a few moments that I feel like got away. Daytona's one of them. Michigan, I think I could have been really quick, but got netcode on like lap 4, so never really had a chance. So there's a few things I think kind of bit me that I think could have put me closer to the points lead, but I've still had pretty solid runs, and P3 is nothing to complain about right now. It should still put me in a pretty good seed, so if I just keep at it, should have a pretty good spot in the playoffs.
Well, all I'm going to say, Presley, is you've got the best seat in the house right now. You're going to lead us to the green flag. So we wish you the best of luck on the green flag restart. We'll see what you can do out on track.
Thank you. We'll put on a show.
So the 98 of Presley Sora brings us out of turn 4 alongside Michael Fisher. Will enter the restart zone and will bring the Highland Homes Roofing 200 back underway from Charlotte. But a wheel spin there for Sora gives Michael Fisher the lead, and Nick Olsen for 2nd into turn 1.
That's always rough to measure when you have those old tires. How do you light them up? Trouble. Cabry goes around, and so does DJ Cummings. Caution flag right in the middle of the field through 1 and 2.
And this is a significant crash. One car up on the fence. That's Bailey Turner in the 5.
Fully loaded.
And just rode the wall and the fence all the way around turns 1 and 2 before landing on all 4s. And that brings out the caution. And so drama here early. You saw the 39 of Cabry right behind this mess. It started with DJ and Cole Cabry. And as the
I've
51
never
got
seen
sent
a
around,
car like
Chase
Bailey
Caber was
Curry's
there
car
and-
do that.
Oh man, Bailey Turner.
I've never seen a car like Turner's do that before. And he's going backwards too. That was fantastic. Maybe not for all of them, but I found that entertaining.
Well, here's a look from Turner. I have never
incredible.
seen that before. And, you know, we talk often, Devin, about these cars, the Arkham Menard series cars, how because the bumpers aren't aligned, you can dig into the rear end and lift the rear tires off the ground. I've never seen a car lifted in that way. It didn't feel like a chaotic lift. It felt like just a gradual, here you go, here's a little step upstairs. So we'll take a look at it from a far shot.
And I'll be straight with you, it didn't look that unnatural either. It looked like this is what happens in APC. Yeah, that looks like if the catch fence was invincible in real life, that's exactly what would happen.
I think
that
this is the
remarkable.
iRacing version, Devin, of the tush push. I think it might be.
Yes, so. I mean, by definition, looks about right. Now, I actually in Monday Night Racing did something similar at Rockingham where I went 4 wheels on the wall, but I didn't climb the safer barrier. Reed Wilson getting a load of undercarriage there from the 5 car. That is incredible.
And the 5 is still going, by the way.
Yes, I don't know how he lands on his
real
wheels.
Significant damage, because see, I mean, he rode the fence, so the wall certainly didn't do any damage to him. It did maybe a little bit with the contact with some of the other guys, but here, the 5 does get hit, but right here, he's not picking up any damage as he's riding the wall, and he'll land back on all 4s a little bit sooner. You'll see it right there, just the car on the left side. Very odd scenario there, but Turner does land back on all 4 tires. He will be able to continue with a bit of damage. Here's a look on board from Vargas, who started this race pretty far in the field. Had all the smoke right in front of him and hopped on the brakes enough. Did get some contact with DJ Cummings, but a masterclass avoidance there from Vargas.
Yeah, that is definitely survivable. Really unfortunate for just about everyone in the high line. The first contact here is actually Cummings getting into Cabri. On board with Sex a little bit further back, and you see just how far back this stems. After Cummings got into Cabri, Cummings gets on the binders, and really the whole outside row has nowhere to go because they had no idea that Cummings is going to get on the brakes that hard to try to avoid going through Cabri more. I think the winner of that incident is Cole Cabri, because I don't think he got any damage out of that. He got about full 90 degrees and saved that car, kept on going.
He just came down pit road. It was a little under a minute. Here's a look from the 51. And mind you, this all started because there were 3 wide and a 1 off of the 99. Mark Rabillis had a little bit of wheel spin on the start, was a little slow comparative to everyone else. And as everyone tried to get around him, DJ Cummings makes that contact with Cabri. And that's exactly what kickstarts this whole thing. And Devin, we didn't really talk about it, but we probably should have at least touched on it. Wheel spin. Here with the Gen 4s on restarts with old tires. It happened to our leader, Presley Sora, hence why he dropped back to 3rd. It happened to Mark Rabillis, and that's sort of why it caused the field to stack up, created this caution.
And that's one of the things, that's a tire strategy move that's trying to save a set for the next caution. It happens in the real world all the time, but it can cause chaos like that because when you are just trying to light those tires up, and I mean, honestly, when you're on fresh tires, it can happen too, but you can just be more aggressive. When you're applying all that power down onto the throttle and it kicks out those rear wheels, especially if you, I would never take 2 tires. I don't have the confidence level or the skill to take 2 tires at an intermediate with these Gen 4 cars because the way that one half grips and the other half doesn't, it would just turn me right around. But in the same essence that would in a no tire stop, I guess I should say, when those tires spin and they don't go anywhere, at that point it will actually grab the steering wheel almost out of your hands to an extent because one side is kind of grabbing better than the other side. And then not only are you getting back out of the throttle, but you're already going backwards in the first place. So there's just a lot to handle when you're restarting on 23 lap old tires because you're never quite sure exactly how much throttle is too much throttle. Obviously Sora there had a little bit too much, but minimal damage. He's going to restart in 3rd, and I know that if there's another caution and he stays out on old tires, he's really going to have a good baseline to set on how much throttle he needs to put in that to again maximize his speed once we get that green flag.
Well, now he found out, so at least that's the good thing. He has that note of if he's on at least 20-odd lap old tires, that's how much he can push it at the point where it unravels from him. and then he almost goes around. And great job being able to save that. Same deal goes for Mark Rubilis, although he did stack up the field a little bit. He was able to keep that car straight and mostly kept it out of harm's way. Here's a look at the entire driver wall. So we've got a full grid here of 9 drivers.
Look at those happy faces.
The camera, yeah. A lot of cameras here tonight. So you see James Bickford top left, Ryan Vargas in the middle top row, then Ford Martin with that beautiful Tennessee Titans hat, then Nick Olson in the middle left, Presley Sora direct middle. That's Reed Wilson there in middle right, and then Ronnie Osmer, Brandon Brown, and Adam Cabot on the last row. Beautiful faces, a lot of quick drivers, and always cool, Devin, on these broadcasts to see the driver reactions, because when we get tapped in on them at the right time, you either get to see their elation, their disappointment, their laughter, whatever's going on from their faces. We get to see it. Sort of adds to the emotion of this series, especially when they cross the start-finish line. We got a restart here at lap number 29 of the Highland Homes Roofing 200, and a cleaner start overall brings Michael Fisher to the head of the field into turn 1. Nick Olson second. Colin Fern stepping onto the podium for the first time.
This restart a little bit cleaner here. And you got those 2 bright yellow cars, Fisher and Olson. They'll head to the point here, but Olson wants a little bit more. He'll dive to the inside. He has a little bit of room here going into 3.
It's screaming black and yellow here. The speaker's going crazy. The 24 goes to the inside. The 32 swifts up high, and now here comes Colin Fern. Took advantage of the situation, might look for a 2-for-1. Fisher's getting swallowed by the 3 wide field behind him. James Bickford and Sora going underneath the 32, trying to hold on, and Colin Fern still on the inside of Olson for the front spot, and Adam Cabot right behind them, sideways.
Yeah, don't look now, because Adam Cabot, James Bickford right behind them. They're the first cars on fresh tires. We'll see how aggressive the 17 car gets. He has a lane here underneath the Fern. They're wheel to wheel, and this is going to be an easy pass here for Adam Cabot to point.
But it's not going to be an easy one to defend here for Colin Fern. He's going to try so much here going into turn 1, but right about here, as they hop on the brakes and go right back in the throttle, the amount of grip that these fresh tire cars have is just too overwhelming from everybody on this staying out strategy. They're almost 3 wide. In fact, there are, almost for a moment, that was Ryan Vargas peeking under. He just entered the top 10 after starting tonight in 28th. So a lot of movement here at the mid-pack, and I believe, Devin, that's where it gets most dangerous, where you have that healthy mix of old and fresh tire cars, especially those when they're 2 and 3 wide. That's when you see a lot of the contact. That's when you see a lot of the craziness, but it appears everyone gets away scot-free.
Vargas on fresh. He's hopping that 9 car. He was the first car off pit row with fuel only. Now he's under attack from our biggest mover so far tonight. Decided not to qualify, but that's 71. Blake McCandless. He's right now fighting for a top 10 spot.
Well, if there's anything you could say about Blake McCandless is that he is fast. We didn't get to see him last season in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series because he was calling the races here on Podium Esports. But now that he gets to be behind the wheel in this series, he gets to strut his stuff and exactly how good he is on the oval side of things. Meanwhile, we have a straight battle for the lead. Adam Cabot, James Bickford, side by side in a 3. And once again, the 29 will have advantage. A bit of a slide up in 3 and 4. The 17 tries the crossover. Not successful. James Bickford holds on to the lead.
Beautiful crossover from Cabot, but he got a little bit of the apron. When you do that with the left front tire, tries to get the car all out of whack with that immediate change in banking. You cannot stand on it when you're going down onto the apron right there, so you had to get out of it just a little bit. Back on the prowl, though, Bickford is definitely not in good hands right now. That 17 car has speed. Meanwhile, it is an absolute hornet's nest in the middle of the field right now. Back around the 20th position. They're like 3 wide right now with Cabry right behind them.
Well, those are the 2 Cabrys there, the 39 into 51. But Cabry will get around. Well, actually, that is the 32 Michael Fisher, excuse me there. They have similar looking cars, but the 39 does get around Michael Fisher. That's for position number 19. And here's Bailey Turner, albeit with the damage he picked up on that fence riding crash. Car number 5 is still in it to win it. It is 23rd going on the outside of DJ Cummings, and look at that. The way he had that crash, you'd expect that he'd be torn out of this race, but the 5 is still pressing forward, and look at that. Great pass on the 32, now diving underneath Stallneck, and he'll move in to 19th place. At least he'll look for it, now inside the top 20.
Beautiful setup from Turner there going into the corner and goes about a 3-for-1 there. Remember, no batch repairs in Monday Night Racing this season, so all that damage repairs, whatever he was able to get on pit road. Same thing from earlier, Mario Miranda. No damage to that spin in the infield, but went all the way to the back of the pack. He has that 89 machine already back up inside the top 10. Now looking to catch up to Gary Sexton for P9. Right in front of Sexton, that's the 71 McCandless. He's up to P8.
And these drivers are all settling those single file into this top 10 as we start to slowly creep forward the fresh tire cars. And there's the look on the NASCAR on NBC old style paint scheme of the 71. Blake McCandless, always beautiful colors for Blake. Actually works with door bumper clear with Dirty Mo Media in them, so always behind the scenes for their episodes. And really cool to see what McCandless has been able to do on the real world side of things. And as he works to the inside of 3 and 4, that's a big run on Colin Fern. He does have fresher tires by about 22 laps, so this should be easy work here for McCandless as he goes on the outside of turn 1.
And on top of that, I mean, the head announcer for the Cars Tour, it's almost disappointing because from the way that he races in the sim, he can probably be on track with the Cars Tour sometimes. Not just good in the 87s like we see him so often in all those marquee events here on iRacing. This kid can wheel just about any car on this sim, although I think we're going to find out a little bit later on Wild West with the Pro Fords if he can do any car on this sim, because there isn't a car that I've seen him race that he has not been extremely talented at so far.
And also avid racer of those 1987 cars. Certainly racing that every week whenever he gets the chance to, when he streams on Mr. F4 Speed on his Twitch. And get to see him sort of gather around some friends on the iRacing sim and have a bit of fun. And of course, again, strut his stuff, the skill that he has on the oval side of iRacing. Certainly one of the best when it comes down to racing. And for McCandless here, a great run building up inside the top 10. So there's a look on the board of James Bickford looking back at Adam Cabot. And here is Gary Sexton right behind that 71 machine of Blake McCandless, and Mario Miranda not too far behind. What a start here for Gary Sexton. Devin started in 15th, up to 8th, and a bit of swerviness out of turn 2, but the 3 car has kept it clean and is just knocking down each checkbox for now. It's working for him.
Sexton a top 5 earlier this season, right now riding in the 12th position in the point series. Another guy who's been so close sometimes in the past few seasons, either making the playoffs, next round of the playoffs. Is this the season that Sexton, who changes his number seemingly every single season, can finally pulls his way into the playoffs? And boy, what a way it would be to do it in such an interesting bracket format. Cole Cabry marching his way back up front. He gets around the 96 of Fern. He's now in the 11th. He's eyeing to get back inside the top 10.
Cole Cabry with a pass there on Colin Fern, so the 96 will drop back. And how about Monin Rahman stepping into the top 15 for the first time since his spin on the opening lap of the race. So the 44 having a nice pickup as we look on board here with Presley Sora. On the bottom right of your screen, that's Brandon Brown on the camera. And for Sora, looks like they're in the middle of this battle here for 19th, along with Bailey Turner, who goes on the inside of Sora. And I'm not sure, Devin, whether this is the right call here for Sora or the others to go and not come down pit road, to stay out on these old tires, because they're starting to drop back significantly. What do they need here for the strategy to go the right way for them?
Caution. That's about it. Because the thing is that their goal of this strategy was not to continue leading the race. The goal of the strategy was to have that extra tire set at the end. But it doesn't help you if in the cycle it moves you to the back of the field. So Sora right now trying to use as little wheel input as possible on the outside. Look how smooth he's holding this wheel right now. I guarantee you it's not like that every single lap, but he's doing what he can just to keep these tires at bay, keep them from rattling and shaking from under him. And you got Fern right now in 13th. He hasn't stopped yet. You got Olsen in 15th, and Sora's kind of been anchoring towards the back. He's now in 22nd, stalling no tires either behind him in 23rd. The goal is not to hold the lead, but the goal was to stay competitive, because if this green flag stint goes long enough, everybody's going to come down together. It doesn't matter if you have an extra set of tires if it's 5 to go in the race and you're in 30th, right? So you still need a little bit of luck to go your way in terms of not just the pace that you maintain with those old tires, but also where the cautions end up falling, and potentially green flag pit stops as well.
And you're on the back foot as well, Devin, of green flag strategy, because the tires are so old, you have to come down pit road sooner, or else those tires are going to blow, and then you're going to be out of this race before you know it. Well, that's a great battle for 5th, by the way, between Ryan Vargas and Ronnie Osmer. So if you're a guy like Sora or Olsen or Colin Fern, you do have to come down pit road way sooner than everybody else who pitted recently, and by the time the guys at the front on fresh tires stay out long for their tires to wear, when they come down pit road, then you're in another flip-flop scenario, and the fresh tires that you once had on the run aren't as beneficiary anymore. So
we also know how
what happens-
unpredictable.
Go ahead.
We know how unpredictable the series can be in terms of cautions. Fisher looks like he's taking his number 32 machine onto pit road, but or maybe not. I thought I saw it pop up. But nonetheless, what I was thinking is the fact that when you are in a series like this, cautions are completely unpredictable. And so if it was something along the lines of, hey, we went 10 laps, I maintained my spot in the top 10, then we all go back down pit road again. Well, now you have yourself an opportunity. Man, this guy shoots a camera like me. Holy cow. But the point of that was, if you can kind of have yourself on sequence with everyone, when you go in and get tires, and you have maybe 10 lap fresher tires than the guys who didn't pit the first time, you feel invincible driving around those guys. When you're one of maybe 5-10 guys in a 30-car field who gets tires, boy, do you feel like you're Superman out there driving around when you have those freshies. It looks like strategy didn't turn yet, but this is not a short-term strategy. It's a long-term strategy. So long as this isn't a long enough run where you go a lap down, they're still in this race with that extra set on pit road.
And you mentioned Michael Fisher in the 32 coming down pit road. He was one of those first on the old tire strategy to come in. He will be joined by two more. The 41 Matt Stonek, the 07 of Ford Martin, two of them coming in. And so this will officially kick off the strategy for them. Here's a look on board with Reed Wilson, driver of the number 66. Got a kick out of his interview last week at Watkins Glen, where he did finish inside the top 3. And for Wilson, he becomes one of 4 drivers inside the top 10 in standings now to gain more than 10 points-paying positions in the standings after last week. So it certainly has been a shakeup over the last couple of weeks of Monday Night Racing, and Reed Wilson did show a lot of his prowess at Watkins Glen, although he really wasn't able to capture the win over Mario Miranda and James Bigford, who at the end were going at it for the closing laps. And we'll keep an eye on the 66. He is one of those guys on the fresh tire strategy. He does have 6-lap fresher tires than those guys leading the brigade right now. So that's also another strategy to keep in mind, sort of option C, if you will. As here is Nick Olsen getting caught by Brandon Brown. The 12 car going way up high. How about the SimSeat Chevrolet working his way from 30th to 16th on the starting grid?
And this battle just continues to rage. I mean, we've seen this group of 4 or 5 cars for the entirety of this green flag run. Brown continues to put pressure on Nick Olsen, but not far behind. DJ Cummings, Chase Cabrey, Reed Wilson is not too far out of this mix, still about a half second behind Cabrey, but these 4 cars just can't get away from each other, and unfortunately for them, they can't gain on the cars in front of them either. Brown here on the outside making the move work on Nick Olsen. Cummings trying to follow along here. That 24 car did not have the speed on the bottom. It's going to cost him 2 spots.
And this is going to be a question of whether this is going to be Olsen's cue sooner than later to come down pit road. We might have those calls since we did see the 41 of Stonek, the 07 of Ford Martin come in. We saw the 32 coming in. Now we're seeing another head for pit road. Colin Fern is going to be the next one to strike. So Fern in his number 96 is going to strike down pit road. The Norwich, New York native is going to come in all by his lonesome. And I'm assuming here, Devin, that will bring in the rest of those old tire cars. They understand we cannot go longer than we've gone right now. We need to come in or else these tires are going to go kaput. So we'll keep an eye on Nick Olsen and company and Presley Sora too, whether they want to come down at some point in the race. How about Joey Padgett sliding his way into 3rd? Nice pass here on Corey Deucer in turn 1.
Yeah, good run so far for Padgett, able to slide down on the inside, take away that 3rd position. Right now, though, the 2 leaders in front of them, Bigford and Cabot, are in a completely different zip code, or at least down the road at the Spire shop right now compared to these 2, and they continue to pull away. But you like to see the speed right now out of Padgett and Deucer. They kind of have a gap here on Ronnie Osmer, Blake McCandless. They're kind of in no man's land right now, but not somewhere that I would dislike being. You know what? I think I could say his last name, but Kenneth, it's just so lovely coming out of your mouth. Say it instead.
All right, well, Alex Monteferrante in the 97, and also,
Come on, look at, did y'all hear that?
Doesn't fit in the graphic in the lower third. We've noticed that over the last couple of weeks. So if you see Monteferrante, then you don't see the E at the end, or even in the other lower third graphic we have, his name is pretty long, but it is a lot of fun to say, and he's been pretty fast tonight. Top 10 run here for Alex Monteferrante so far, trying to recover after an 18th place finish, the last Gen 4 race we had in the series at Michigan. And there's a look at the lower third this time by Alex Monteferrante. So no TE this time by, but it looks like he's starting to slowly catch up on Miranda, Sexton, Vargas, and McCandless, those bringing up the rest of the latter half in the top 10.
Ooh, trouble for Hoff here. He was going into turn 3, was slow. He might have been going on pit road, maybe. And he gets drilled by Matt Stallneck. Major damage on the right rear quarter panel here for your pole sitter tonight.
Oh, you're right. We'll try and take a look at the replay. So it was the 41, and that's going to be big because Stallneck did come down pit road. You talked about Devin feeling like Superman on those fresh tires where he tried to barrel through the 9 car as he was slowing down in the middle of the corner of the 41. Just did not have enough time to get a little higher on the racetrack. And here's a look from Stallneck.
And this happens so fast, you don't want to soar up the track because Noah Lewis is right there and, you know, maybe a little bit closer than I think he was anticipating. I mean, it's easy to say you should have gave him more room, but it only takes so much before if you turn that wheel too far right, he's just going to door Noah Lewis. I know he's way up the track there, but you don't know that for sure. So it's a really weird situation there trying to go all out to the wall there on the 41 car. Good view there off of Ford Martin's Mach10 digital machine. And really, really tough situation right now for your pole sitter, Brandon Hoff. He has himself in a big hole right now. It's now Noah Lewis and Brett Baldeck making their way onto pit road.
So more drivers kicking off their strategy here at lap number 57. And for Hauff, he currently brings up the top 20 right now. For Hauff, yeah, you're right. A really tough scenario there. He does have some right rear damage. So as he comes down pit road, we'll sort of monitor and see whether that 9 car is going to sort of sacrifice that extra time to get that car up to snuff. He is going to slow the car down quite a bit. It looked like he was going to come down pit road, but he does not. And we do have word that Presley Sora has come down pit road about 4 laps ago. So car number 98 does have a fresh set of rubber this time by. Here's a look at Blake McCandless working into the top 6, and he's slowly catching up to Ronnie Osmer. McCandless started 29th in this race. Again, a testament to his skill on the surface. Car number 71 inside the top 10, and here's a look at the Dude Wipes number 55. Might need some wipes soon as car number 71 approaches.
And I want to go back right now, talk about the guys going down on pit road under green here. They did not pit during our opening caution. They're trying to save that extra set. Their goal right now, or their hopes at least, is for this run to stay green. They are all currently 1 lap down. You don't necessarily want the wave around. Everybody who stayed out is now on 38-lap-old tires. So you're hoping that this group in front of you also has to come down onto pit road and have to get service as well, get new fresh tires, get a fuel tank of fuel. Because the issue here is if the caution comes out, then you are essentially having to take the wave around, and then the guys in front of you get to go down and get fresh tires as well. And all of a sudden, you are on the back burners again, and now all those guys are going to start driving forward. Adam Cabot here making his way forward. He's catching James Bickford. But when these guys have to pit, that's when you want the caution to come out if you are these guys who did not pit the first time, because that's when your strategy and that's when your extra tire set is actually going to start paying off.
And when cautions come out, it really is going to change a lot of things. And we are hearing drivers slowly but surely make their calls for pit road. We did see Reed Wilson in the 66 come in, so we might see some others start to file in as well. We're hearing more drivers on the race chat start to sort of chirp on the radio. We'll see whether that is officially pitting calls. One of them was the 39 of Chase Cabry, who's running in 15th as of the moment. Looks like he's not going to slow down to come down pit road, so it might have just been another call. But there's a look at Noah Lewis in the number 95. That's a testament, Devin, to how fast you are on fresh tires as the run develops. That 95 is making the 29 look like he's standing still. Bickford leading this race by a healthy margin over Adam Cabot, but still, I mean, when you've got fresh tires, that's how fast you are in comparison. And I'm assuming that many of these guys up front are going to be screaming for those fresh tires. A little sooner than later, we cross the line for lap 63. We get closer to halfway.
And I'm intrigued to see, once these guys cycle out, how exactly things are going to move around. Monster Ferran currently on our screen, down on pit road, but once this cycles out, I'm curious to see not just where people land, but how quick these drivers on fresh tires catch the guys who pitted on that last caution. Right now, the difference in tires, depending on who you are, is going to be about a 14-lap difference. Those guys who pitted earlier on in this race. So I'm interested to see how exactly that's going to mix up our tire strategy once they're all back on track and they've all had a cycle of pit stops.
And also for these guys around the top 5, in comparison to their distance, how early or how late are you willing to enter pit road? Just because of how you're going to try and cycle out near the end. And obviously you want the freshest tires for later in the stint if it stays green, to the point where obviously you can just have faster laps and have more to work with, a little more elbow room, if you will. So it might be interesting to see what the 29 at Bickford does, what Cabot does, if they come in on the same lap, how far of distance in laps will they come down, and how will that affect the overall cycle. We did see Joey Padgett in the 83 running inside the top 10 at one point come down pit road, so he joins his Team Joyride teammate in Reed Wilson to come in for fresh tires and some fuel. We also did see Blake McCandless in the 71 creep up to the top 10 as we look at DJ Cummings in a tight battle here with Brandon Brown for position number 11. And there's Alex Monteferrante, one of the fresh tire cars, working their way through. Pretty tough to get around when you've got a pretty mix of these cars going either slow or fast at a high rate of speed.
Cole Cabring, he got tires earlier. He's getting passed by this group who are now finding themselves inside the top 10. Cabring now fading backwards on that older tire set. And now they're also starting to kind of separate out. And this top 5 is getting pretty wacky right now. Dusser's getting all the way up on the wall to allow Byrne and Olsen on fresh tires to split the middle there between them, Osmer, and Miranda. And that's just how wild things can be. And trying to go 3 wide down the middle and start of a corner at a track like Charlotte, that is tough. I mean, being able to hold your line on the outside and allow these guys to pass you while not nicking on the wall or anything like that, it is a difficult gap to manage. Vargas on pit road now as well.
Looks like Cole Cabring joins him in the 51. So there's the number 26, Ryan Vargas on pit road. We do have more callers for the pit lane. I believe Brandon Brown might just be one of them. We saw him just a little while ago battling with DJ Cummings. So as we watch Ryan Vargas and company come down pit road, they're now exiting. There's car number 12. The SimSeed Chevrolet will head on in. A little bit of smoke there on the rear bumper as the tire smoked up just a bit, but the 12 car is in without a problem, and the Gerardstown, West Virginia native will come in without a hitch. Nice battle here for third. Ronnie Osmer, Mario Miranda, as Adam Cabot came down pit road about a lap ago, so he comes in earlier than the race leader.
And here's Bickford. Bickford on a pit road now. That will relinquish the lead to Blake McCandless in that 71 car. How much longer until he brings his machine on a pit road? That will give Osmer the second position. Miranda down to the third spot. Right now about a second lead for McCandless, and he's just been pulsing forward. I'm really interested to see where the 71 car comes out on this cycle, because just with this speed and then having the fresh tires after he goes down on pit road, he could be someone that at the end of the cycle, he might be inside the top 5 or battling for that lead. Once the dust settles, one car around. It's Dusser. He got into Cabot, and that will bring out the caution. And Blake McCandless in a perfect spot.
Adam Cabot tries to pick up as he suffers damage on the front of his 17 Chevrolet. Was contact indeed, Devin, with the 04 of Corey Dusser. So we'll have to look at that. And Corey, by the way, had not come down pit road. He was on 48 lap old tires. Adam Cabot charging behind him. He gets around Ronnie Osmer, and there's nowhere to go as he tries to look underneath the 04. Gets him sent around. They both go for a spin, and that brings out the yellow. A great job by the 17 to barely avoid those pit barrels at the entrance of the pit lane. But for the 17, this is quite the dagger.
And Dusser fading up the track. Yeah, he wasn't coming down the pit road there. I think he just faded up to trying to get back down. Oh, okay, so he just downshifted, so maybe he was trying to get on the pit road there. And Cabot is right there. We'll go on board here with Dusser. Take a listen in.
So, I mean, it looks like he's prepping to come down pit road, right? But the 17, again, we mentioned the discrepancy of fresh and old tire cars, especially this deep into a run. You're closing in at such a high rate of speed. As soon as you see this happen, it's really hard if you're that fresh tire car to get away from it without having to check up significantly. And the 17 did not want to take that checkup option. He went straight for the 04 and makes that contact. They both go for the spin. And for the 04, he's going to have the luxury of coming down pit road now, but it's a matter of trying to repair damage versus coming in for a routine stop. Here's a look from the 97. The speed factor teammate of Dusser and Monteferrante. He'll see the contact come right about there. He'll evade the contact, but certainly not happy to see his teammate involved in that one.
Monteferrante there had himself a good position to get to the outside just in time. If those cars would have came up the front straightaway a little bit faster, he might have been collected in that. Now, there were 8 cars there who had not pitted yet. Those are going to be our big winners here. They won't have to take a wave around. They're going to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires or general tires. I'm not sure what we get here in Gen 4 Cup, but nonetheless, they're in a good spot here.
I believe they're general tires here for Gen 4. So it looks like with 63 laps to go, James Bickford leads this race. Everybody else pits behind. We'll continue our coverage of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach10 Digital and the Highland Homes Roofing 200.
Mach 10. Let's give Mach 10.
You're cleared for takeoff.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coverage of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series is brought to you by Highland Homes Roofing. Since 1986, Highland Homes Roofing has been the #1 company you can trust for all of your roofing needs. To learn more about their services, go to highlandhomesroofing.com. And by Mach10 Digital, your partner for stunning video production and digital marketing solutions, and where innovation meets creativity. 73 laps down here in the Highland Homes Roofing 200. Kenneth Bueno, Devin Henry with you for all the coverage in the booth. Ryan Bauer, our producer tonight, using images and cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Devin, we have seen a lot tonight. Strategy has fully kicked in, but our most recent caution between Corey Deucer and Adam Cabot has changed the strategy a bit. What are the keys now in this second half of the race to get to victory?
He's just going to be here to get on cycle with some other drivers. We're going to have 13 drivers, or I guess 12 drivers, who have been on pit road within the past 5 laps or on this caution period behind them. A lot of them had to take the wave around here, so it's going to be really interesting. If we do not get another quick caution, the second half of the field is going to be struggling here with some older tires. They're going to have to get on cycle at some point here in these final 60 laps if they want a shot at this win.
Yeah, many of them inside the top 15, top 20, a lot of them on 15 lap old tires or more. So for them, it's going to be somewhat of an uphill battle. For James Bickford, he hit the gold mine. As soon as that caution came out, he only put 2 laps on his tires before everyone else had to come in with that caution. The 29 at Bickford will bring him to the restart zone and to the start-finish line. Bit of a bump there from Mario Miranda telling him, hey, let's go. McCandless is going to stay out top for turn 1. Battle for the lead.
I was saying there's going to be interesting after that cycle where McCandless would end up. The caution falls out perfect. Period is around goes DJ Cummings and Colin Byrne.
And trouble in turn 2, more contact. More drivers getting hit. That was Brandon Brown, I believe, who went up and over. And the carnage will continue as Colin Fern and DJ Cummings got into it entering turns 1 and 2. That is indeed Brandon Brown, who is on his roof.
I know Lewis is a good pal. Look at that. That's teamwork right there.
Yeah, there we go.
Two of my favorite guys in the league right there helping each other out.
So Noah giving that assistance. Brandon Brown is going to continue in tonight's Highland Homes Roofing 200, but not without some damage. And we'll take a look at the origin of this, Devin. All started with the 10 of Cummings in 1 and 2.
Yeah, second incident that the 10 car's been in tonight. He's in the really completely, well, there's a lot of black cars. Shoot. Try to make that a little bit better on you guys, but take a look here towards the middle of your screen. Inside lane slows down. That was Cummings, the first black car. Fern, the second black car on the inside lane. Rabilla's trying to come down the track. He gets jacked up in the rear end and nowhere for Brown to go either. Let's take another look here in the NASCAR machine. This is on board with Colin Fern. Or no, this is DJ Cummings, excuse me. He just gets loose. Turner has nowhere to go. He runs into the back of the 96 of Fern. Can't react in time. And they get all stacked up here.
And here's a look from Fern, who basically had nowhere to go and hopped on the binders as soon as that 10 got sideways. So there's Cummings getting
tires
settled in the 96 up there. And I was about to mention that, Devin. It's sort of the caveat you get even with fresh tires. And we mentioned the caveat of old tire wheel spin on restarts. Well, you get the cold tires here on restarts with fresh rubber. So all of a sudden, the tires are not up to snuff. They're not up to temperature yet. You don't have full grip. So then for the 10 of Cummings, he just thought he could have a little more, and a bit more than he can chew. Got sideways, and here's where everything happens. Noah Lewis locked up on the brakes. But
yeah, I guess Noah owed him that. Noah owed flipping him back over since he's the one who rolls him over. I think probably what happened there is he thought that the outside was a cleared lane. That's where Brandon Brown is going. Brown gets on the brakes, so there isn't room there, and Lewis was just continuing forward. And he said, yeah, that's my fault, and I fixed it. We're good. Let's go now.
And nice sportsmanship there for Lewis. Didn't just leave the 12 all by himself, stranded in turn 2. Decided to flip him over and say, hey, it was my fault. I'm going to let you continue this race. And that was my fault. Here's my chance to sort of redeem myself on that. Now, while Brandon Brown, of course, is going to have to come down pit road for some damage repair, he will be able to continue. Much like Bailey Turner with that fence ride we saw earlier tonight. So I guess if there's anything we've learned over this race, Devin, is that anything's possible, and no matter how scary or how crazy the crash might look for you, you could still be in this race.
Anything possible in a couple different ways, because all those drivers who took the wave around get back on the lead lap. Guys like Stolnick, Sora, Martin, Cabot, they all have fresh tires now.
So that's going to be big for them, as James Bickford will lead them to the stripe, lap 77 under caution. Let's get a word with the driver of the 17, currently running 14th right now. And Adam, of course, you were involved in that caution under the long green flag run. Just talk us through your race, that incident, and now your work back to the front.
Yeah, that was extremely unfortunate and totally on me. I just pulled out of the pits after making my green flag stop. Didn't really know who I was around, kind of, I had my volume low. I faintly heard someone say they were pitting, and then next thing I know, the car in front of me was just pulling on the track. But, I apologize to Corey and everyone else who that screwed, but it also screwed me pretty bad. So it really sucks. I think, James and I are really close on speed. I think I was just kind of stuck in his dirty air there, about a half second back. So, I think leapfrogging him there at the pit stop was going to be key, and I was trying to make up as much ground as I could coming out of the pits and try to make a big move around the cars on old tires. And, yeah, unfortunately, just didn't know that Corey was pitting. So dug myself in a pretty big hole, and luckily that wreck there just got me like 7 spots, and we'll try to fight back up there and see if we can still win this thing.
Still trying to keep that point standings lead intact here coming out of Charlotte. But I think the good thing about mistakes like those is that there's still a lot of time left. 57 laps to go. You've got a bit of wiggle room to sort of get yourself back into the conversation. Now, how do you strategize this race to the finish, given your current situation?
Just got to go as hard as possible now. I was trying to save and manage my stuff, but now it's just go and try to make gaps and just try to get through as many cars as possible. And like I said, just try to get what I can from today after screwing over what was going to be a good green flag run. So that's just unfortunate there, but we'll see what we can do.
All right, Adam, you'll get set for the restart, all double file ready for the green flag. So best of luck out there. Go get him.
Thanks, Kenneth.
That's Adam Cabot, driver of the 17. He will restart inside the top 15. He'll be in row number 7 alongside Reed Wilson to the green. So there's the front row, James Bickford and Blake McCandless. They will bring him back to full song. And Devin there for Cabot. Again, like I mentioned, good news is that he's got time. So it's not like his race is completely over, but his strategy to make haste here when we get the green flag, very different from his opening jump strategy. It's going to be fun to see how that works out.
Yeah, we've cycled through now for the most part. I do think that there are a few guys that do have an extra set compared to everybody else on pit road. Guys like Osmer, Deucer, Sexton, Olsen, Fisher. They've all only been on pit road twice. A lot of drivers have been on pit road 3 times now. Let's go on board here on top of the roof of Ronnie Osmer. Take this green flag, 55 laps to go. Listen to the madness here coming up here on Podium Esports.
Got way loose in the corner, had to go all the way up the 24 degrees of banking, but he keeps it collected in the 55, trying to hold on to a top 5 spot. Meanwhile, back around the top 20, Devin, we saw a bit of skirmishing between Presley Sora and everyone else. Got hit, blinked in and out a couple of times, and almost got sent around.
Yeah, Sora got all mixed up through 3 and 4, and that's going to back him up even further to the 20th position. He was fast earlier today, but now he has himself mired so far back in the field. It's going to be a long, long trip forward. He wants to try to get back inside the top 10 with 53 laps to go, and he has some really, really good competition in front of him. Not only Cole Cabrey behind him, our poles here, Brandon Hoff right there, Chase Cabrey's in the vicinity, Robbie Lyons not too far ahead. I mean, there's a really, really strong group of cars right here in front of the 98 now.
A lot of talented drivers he has to get around, and for Sora, we mentioned his strategy going a bit awry when he stayed out onto the first caution, then had to stay out on old tires, and then it just came all the drama after that. The 98 trying to hold on to whatever he can as you watch this large pack of cars around the top 10 sort of work all together. It's a pack led by Corey Deucer, Ronnie Osmer, both of them going side by side. And how about 3 wide? Bailey Turner, who got his Celsius Chevrolet all fixed up, moving to the inside, and the driver out of McKinleyville, California, tries his best, and we're still 3 wide at a turn 4.
The 5 car trying to go full Herbie, full and loaded as he went up on the wall and 1 and 2. It's Charlotte now trying to get back forward and find that number 5 car in victory lane for Bailey Turner. But now Ryan Vargas right up there behind him as well. And look at this kind of mangle of cars here that Vargas is looking forward to. Right next to him, Adam Cabot. He's right along inside the top 10 as well.
For Vargas, he's looking for his first Monday Night Racing win since season 4 with the Super Late Models at Nashville Super Speedway. It has been quite a minute since we've seen Vargas occupy victory lane, but he's had a great race tonight, still battling with the 17, entering turn 1. Here's a look from Osmer. And boy, this is getting really contentious here. Back in the field, Nick Olsen, Bailey Turner, both of them remain door to door at the exit of turn 2. Meanwhile, it's allowing Blake McCandless to sort of skirt away from all of this. And now here's Olsen, crossover move into turn 3.
Dives in. Osmer still has some speed on the seam on that outside lane. On board here with Michael Fisher. He's looking to follow Cabot down on the inside. They're almost 3 wide here going down the front straightaway. That's Vargas there in the middle. Far outside lane, it's Deucer. And they almost got into the door there. Fisher almost into Vargas. He has to get way out of the gas, and he'll lose at least 1 spot to Stallman.
That car rotated quite a bit. He had that yaw angle almost fully maxed out. But Fisher was able to hold on to the Ford Fusion for now. There's a look from Alex Monteferrante, his teammate right behind, inside the top 12. But they remain still battling for this spot inside the top 4. Bailey Turner peeks a look, but he won't get it. Nick Olsen will hold on to the spot, and they are rapidly approaching the 71 of McCandless. By the way, Miranda and Bigford have pulled away to the tune of more than 1.5 seconds. But as these 4 continue to go at it, it only will lose them more time to 47 laps to go.
And I've been impressed by Bigford all night long. He went out to an early lead, really was setting a very intense pace, and it really never felt like the tires fell off. It felt like he could continue and uphold that pace even through a long green flag run. And right now, again, steaming ahead of the field, and he has himself a comfortable lead over Miranda, almost double that over McCandless and the rest of the pack. If he can maintain this tempo and the speed that he has for the entirety of this race so far, it's going to be the 29-car race to lose.
After he won the last time we were with this combo in the Summer Series under strategy, It's looking a little more convincing right now as he holds on to 1.3 seconds of a lead over Mario Miranda. Like McCandless, of course, still at the forefront of this, now under fire from Nick Olsen. And you can tell, Devin, that from the entry of the corner, the 71 is not at 150%. He is not pushing his car right now. He is sort of letting off very early, letting the car rotate, letting it coast, and then hopping onto the gas pedal. So McCandless is certainly employing his strategy of, I'm not pushing now. There's still a long way to go, while Olsen is go, go, go.
A little bit of dancing behind him. A couple moments there, one of which Olsen, Turner, McCandless, all these guys putting it all on the line right now. But McCandless, to your point, Kenneth, he is one of the drivers. Everyone in the top four has only hit pit road 2 times. They still have 2 sets of tires on pit road. So that's also part of it. They are on a little bit of a longer stint than some of these guys behind them, like Stallneck a few spots back. But McCandless, Miranda, McCandless, Turner, they all pitted around the same time. In fact, the oldest tires in this front group, it's actually the 17 car of Adam Cabot. Blinking a little bit right now, one car on the wall deep behind them. But Cabot right now with the oldest tires on, and he has found his way inside the top 5.
Just an update on that car that did strike the wall. That was Corey Deucer in the 04, so he drops all the way back. So what's going to be 19th here in a battle with Jordan Buster for the 18th spot. And we'll bring in Ryan Vargas in the middle of this great battle. Ryan, what's going on right now? You're inside the top 6, 7. Hard fight here with Billy Turner and company.
Yeah, it's a bit edgy, man. I'm just trying to hold on. I don't got a good feel for these Gen 4s, man. I stink in these things, but man, this critical path security Chevy looks real good, don't it? As I'm trying to roll the bottom here, see, I can't get to the line. I need to get to the line, dang it.
You know, I wouldn't say, Vargas, that you're stinking right now. I mean, from where you started, 28th up to top 10, I'd say that's a pretty good night so far, and you've been running well with these guys. And how have you tried to handle this in the middle of the pack, and how are you trying to balance sort of the aggression and the balance here with this Gen 4 car as it rips away from your hands?
I'm just trying to keep Fisher behind me now. He's just really good. I'm talking in a totally different twang than I normally talk.
Right. I think what you need to think about right now, imagine all those fans that you saw in Belgium rooting for you as you were going through town center. I know they all believe in you right now, all right?
Yeah.
I hope they're all cheering for you right now. Think of all them cheering for you.
I know. I hope they're watching. As I get tight in the center of 3 and 4, I hope they didn't see that. Now Fisher's going to look to my left side. I'm going to protect a little bit. He's faster than me right now, but we'll figure it out. But no, it's just a lot of fun, real good battles. Definitely helped me. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
All right. I got ran over.
Oh, man.
No, man. That felt intentional. Wow.
Well, caution comes out. Michael Fisher getting into you, Ryan. I mean, you're playing just heavy defense there. And for the 26th, Devin, I don't know if that's commentator's jinx or what. I don't know if that's the worst time.
Ryan, you jinxed yourself.
Dude, I don't know. I'm not very happy about that. But man, this critical path security Chevy looked good at least. I mean, I know I didn't do nothing wrong there. Now, Booth, you better back me up here, dang it.
I'll back you up there a little bit. I mean, you were having a little bit of walking there, but yeah, that 13-car was faster than you. He went in there deep into turn number 1.
Yeah.
Watching the replay right now on Podium Esports, he's right on your bumper going down that straightaway. You're trying to keep him behind you going through the tri-oval, and you missed the inside here. And I really think he was gunning there. I'm not going to say it's intentional or not, but he gunned for that inside lane. You left it open a little bit there and went really, really hard.
Said by Fisher.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a mistake. It is what it is. I just got to get it all fixed, and then we'll do the first challenge within the last 40 laps.
Well, I tell you what, Ryan, I've been wanting to ask you about this for a while now, just because of how interesting it is. I think really Bobby Labonte's the only guy who's went to Europe and competed with the Euro Series, and now here you are, the one being able to go and do that. I don't think we've talked about that yet here on Monday Night Racing, but just how cool is it to be the man representing America and going to Germany and Belgium and racing with the Euro Series guys and experiencing the culture like that over there?
No, it's a blast. I mean, it's cool to go out there, represent Critical Path Security, have 3F Racing kind of make their first forays into, you know, NASCAR. They're trying to do a lot of really big things in the coming years, and to represent them over there is always really cool. You know, it's just fun. It's fun to do that stuff. It's fun to go out there and do those things, and yeah, it's just an absolute blast, and I hope to do some more of it.
And I've really been curious, whether it be inside the race car and trying to translate that here into the American ovals, or even outside the race car, you as a person, now traveling to Europe a little bit. How has those experiences changed you, as it be as a race car driver, as a person?
I mean, it's made me really appreciate, road racing quite a bit, right? My crew chief said the repairs are nearly done. It's made me really appreciate road racing a lot more. Those guys out there are just, genuine talents, and I mean, heck, my teammate has, tons of my teammate over at Race Planet, he had, Gorelli, he had tons of open wheel experience, prior to Euro NASCAR. So, you get to race with some really star drivers out there who have tons and tons and tons of talent. And so, for me to go over there with a primarily oval background and be able to keep up, you know what I mean? Be in that, be in the mix of the top 10, unload in practice and be top 5. It definitely means a lot, and shows, how much, work, that the team out there does, the 3F Racing, groups, in collaboration with Race Planet, as well as me, studying footage and getting laps in on iRacing. So, just an absolute blast to go out there. The cars are a ton of fun to drive, and I hope to, like I said, hope to have a little bit more opportunities as time goes on.
And you know what? I'm sorry, Kath, I told you could take over after this too, but I forgot I needed to say this. Ryan, a huge congratulations on being named a NASCAR Comcast Community Champion finalist, man. That's a massive, massive deal, so a huge congratulations to you on that, man.
No, thank you. It's an absolute blast to work with the folks at, FACES, the National Craniofacial Association. They're just such a incredible group of people over there, such incredible humans. I don't work with FACES, or, I don't talk about craniosynostosis to say, to create a sob story about me and my craniosynostosis, story. I had one surgery. I, only needed one surgery. There are thousands upon thousands of individuals who need surgeries well beyond their childhood years into their adulthood. So, who still struggle with, the ongoing effects. So, I want to try and at least be a voice for those people and be able to, carry that, use my platform that I have across social as a opportunity to put them more in the public eye, and raise awareness for craniosynostosis and all the other craniofacial differences.
And it was really awesome as well, Ryan, to see last week with the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen, your paint scheme just going all the way back to Cranio Care Bears and the sponsor in your first ever Xfinity Series race. I know that was really cool to see you with that paint scheme again on those Pro 2 trucks. And you've certainly accomplished so much in your years in NASCAR. So it's been really awesome to see you, elevate in that sense and have a chance to take those flights overseas to Europe. I'm sure those flights felt a little long probably, but certainly worth it in that sense. It was really cool to see it.
It's the flight there. The flight there is the worst one, because you're going,
really?
The time difference is so bad. But when you come here, you don't really lose a day. So you get here and you land at if you leave in the morning, you land here sometime around 4, 5, 6 o'clock. You get into bed at 8. and you're ready for bed. So no, it's just been an absolute blast with my friends at Critical Path Security and 3F Racing, and just like I said, it was a unbelievable opportunity. I hope to do a little bit more in the future.
We only wish for more of those great opportunities for you in the future. Certainly deserved. You've earned it with all the hard work you've put over the last couple of years. But let's get back to this last of further Challenger. 21st on the restart. We'll see what we can do. We're getting to the green flag soon, so best of luck there, Ryan. Go get him.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Ryan Vargas, driver of the number 26, one of our in-race reporters for tonight. He rolls off just outside of the top 20 as we get the green flag. A focus back to the top 2, James Bickford and Mario Miranda. They were dominating the last stint under green. We'll see what they can do now that they have the entire field right behind them on the restart. Green flag back in the air, the Highland Homes Roofing 200. Good start here for the 29. The 89 tries to keep up, but Bickford will lead the pack into turn 1.
29 car's been fast this entire evening. This was a chance for somebody to pulse in front of him, but Miranda's stuck behind that 29 car, side by side behind them as well. McCandless on the inside, Olsen on the outside. Can't let this 29 car check out, coming to 35 to go.
And Olsen will dial up the middle lane here on the 71. He does not have it. McCandless will hold down low. And Bailey Turner, how about the recovery into the top 6 now, following Adam Cabot to the front of the field. Matt Stallneck not too far behind either. Here's a look from Turner's perspective as he rolls that bottom lane. And as we talk about the different lines of usage here at Charlotte, of course one of those is the bottom, but it's with the left side tires, Devin. on that painted blue and white line. Here on iRacing, much like real life, you can find a little more grip and rotation on the left side tires when you get it down there. So it's sort of the strategy of driving this track. If you want to run at the very bottom, you can touch that paint at that blue and white line, and you can gain a little extra speed.
Trouble Gary Sexton. He spins out to the inside of turns 1 going into the corner. He was behind Ford Martin. Got up right on the rear bumper. I'm not sure what happened there. Martin kind of comes down the racetrack and I mean, the most innocent of tail slaps since the 3 car almost into the inside wall.
Such a slight tap, and we'll take a look here from the 3. So he catches up to that teal, black, and white Chevrolet of Martin. And yeah, you're right, Devin. Just a very minimal contact. Doesn't look like that would really send him around. But the 3 does get unsettled from that with the checkup. He is able to keep it away from the inside wall. So a great save here by Sexton. Here's a look for Monin Rahman right behind him.
Yeah, Martin definitely comes down and blocks really late there. Ooh, Robbie Lyons on a burner right there. Just come around that inside lane, but that was a late block. And I mean, honestly, I mean, if the block was successful, I don't think Sexton would have been happy about it in the first place, but it looked like it should have been. I mean, that's maybe inches or something as Martin came off the corner, just wicked bad off of 4. Comes down the racetrack in front of Sexton. I'm sure he thought he was clear. I know for a fact that the iRacing spotter wouldn't have called that Sexton is down there. But yeah, that's a really, really strange incident.
We'll take another look at it. That was from Jordan Buster's view. So here's another chance to see exactly what happened from Sexton's perspective. And so the 07, I believe, will get checked up right about here. Here's really where it all starts. That Chase Carey in the 39, it started with a slap to the outside wall. So that checked up the Mach10 digital car of Martin, and hence why Sexton had so much speed and momentum. Got right to the back bumper of him and probably didn't expect them to get that close together and to make that contact before turn 1. But for the number 3 of Sexton, he does get a piece of that. And there's the big loose moment there for Martin, which loses all of his speed and momentum and then brings him together with the 3 side by side contact. And then of course the 3 goes for a spin. The 07 does end up slapping the wall again before turn 1, but it appears to be minimal. Both will escape without any race ending damage, although they will have to lose some track position on the way as well. So caution out again here at lap number 102 here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Bickford continues to lead this race, and one driver who we talked to last week who's running inside the top 20 now is Reed Wilson in the number 66. We join him here in the Podium Esports booth. Reed, first of all, welcome back. We talked to you, had a hell of an interview last week at Watkins Glen where you finished on the podium. How has this race been for you so far?
You just pulled me right out of my room. Me and Joey were talking about feet, and I just hopped right into this. The race has been just a disaster for the 66 crew. I mean, God, I want it to be over with. We've got a set of tires saved. We're gonna try to save them more than the other guys in front of me, but yeah, it's not been great.
Well, you and Joey Padgett have been somewhat all over the place tonight, and I know Padgett's back in 30th as we see it right now from timing and scoring, but you two have been sort of back and forth in tonight's race. And I know you guys were having a very lengthy and probably very important conversation before you got dragged up here, but and now that we have this race coming down to crunch time, I mean, what do you keep in mind here from 20th and all the guys around you, in front of you, etc.?
I mean, I've driven through the field quite a few times from 20th up to 10th. You guys might have caught that, and it just didn't really pay off. So we're gonna try to do more of a like a let everyone crash type of thing, you know, and see where we end up. I'm hoping for a caution in about, I don't know, 15 laps. Everyone pits for tires, then we get another one, and oh, Lucky Dog Padgett. That's what I'm talking about. He's getting one of his 30 laps back. We'll get fresher tires than everyone.
I think that's the strategy pulled right out of Colin Fern's playbook. Just stay back and let everybody else crash in front. As we look at Joey Padgett going around, but Reed, I mean, you finished in the top 2 last Gen 4 race at Michigan. I mean, what about the Gen 4 cars is so special to you, and what makes it so fun to drive?
I mean, I think what's most special is you kind of got to drive them off the right rear. You have to run them with a little bit of yaw through the corners so you burn the right front off. You see a lot of guys bottom feeding, but if you got to get around somebody, you can rip the top side and run momentum, but you don't have a lot of laps to do that. The tires are going to overheat. So they're very dynamic cars, and that's, I think, why people like float towards those.
All right, well, we're going to get ready for the restart in just a bit. We certainly appreciate the time, Reed, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up some spots before this thing is over. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we'll let Reed, Devin, get back to that immensely important, very
no comment.
Conversational topic. Yeah. And pleading the fifth is probably better, but Reed Wilson is going to roll off here from 20th on the restart, right behind DJ Cummings, Ryan Vargas, Robbie Lyons, a couple more drivers in that as well. And a look here from James Bickford, who eyes in on his third career Monday Night Racing victory. He is the first driver since Raja Karuth, by the way, to have 2 race wins and both of them be the same combo. He got his first win with the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen a couple of seasons back. He did the same thing this season around. And he'll look to go 2 in a row, much like he did in the Summer Series a couple of months earlier. So it's Bickford, Miranda, Olsen, McCandless, first 2 rows on the green flag. Adam Cabot in 5th, Bailey Turner on the outside in 6th place. Brandon Houff moves back to the top 10 after it's been a rather tumultuous race for the Great Esports Dodge. Matt Stonick is in 8th, Ronnie Osmer is in 9th, and Alex Monteferrante rounds out the top 10. There's a look at the driver wall, all of them focused and ready to get this green flag on lap 105 of 133 inside. 30 laps to go from Charlotte. Green flag back in the air. And a decent start once more by both the 29 and the 89. First battle arising inside the top 3.
Double Ford
round. Ford Martin, Bowden Rahman among those involved.
See, this is what I was talking about earlier. Unpredictable. Had that green flag run, or green flag pit stops. I was talking about how after 5 laps on under green, I'm going all the way now. I'm having to conserve and stuff, but you never know what's going to happen. Cautions, green cautions late in this race now. See, it's about mid-pack here. The 07 in front of the 8 of Jordan Buster coming off of turn number 2. You just can't do this in the Gen 4 cars. Buster comes onto the rear bumper of Martin. That's immediately going to send him around. These cars do not like rear bumper contact. It doesn't matter if it's a drafting track, intermediate, short track. I mean, we saw earlier, there's no bumping these cars out of the way. You touch the rear bumper, they go around, and around went the 07.
For the 44 Rahman, he got way loose in 1 and 2. Had to keep it out of harm's way at the outside of 3 wide action. So there's a look at Martin. And that slight tap by the 8 of Buster. And you're right, when the bumpers don't align, you just have that problem. The car is going to get jacked up, around, it's going to go. And even then, with other stock cars, maybe it's not a full-on spin, but that's still a hit that will get a car in front unsettled. And for Buster, who was just away from that incident between Sexton and Martin on the last caution, he barely gets through, and Presley Soroff finds his way by. Almost. That was a matter of inches there.
Great reflexes there. He knew that he was going to have to be on the inside. He saw that front end of the 07 come around. He was able to jump in there. Someone got a good lick there on the 07 too. I was wondering if it was Vargas. Take a look on board with him. You see the 44 Rahman flying backwards. Oh man, he just barely avoids the rear bumper of the 07 machine. The 26 car is still alive.
Doesn't get any better than that in terms of avoidance. Nice job by Vargas to get away from the chaos. Wide look here. Again, just a simple contact will send the driver around. There's a better look at Bowden Rahman going sideways and a great save. But the 07 goes for a spin, and he does get hit. I believe that was by Reed Wilson,
okay.
66. So I guess there was a little more of a jinx there as we interviewed him just a couple of moments before this restart. I don't know if we can ever escape that tonight. And here's a look there from Wilson's perspective. We'll see the wreck happen right in front. He'll dart towards the left, and he'll make that contact and kick the 07 off the ground a little more.
Never saw him. Yeah, big issue there for the 66 car. Wilson directly behind Vargas, who made that last-second move to get out of the way. There was nowhere Wilson was going to go. That might end up being very significant damage there on the right front that could potentially end his race. Remember, no fast repairs here in Monday Night Racing.
It's been a topic of conversation over the season, whether you have the no fast repair rule and how willing are you to be aggressive in this series, and how willing you are to be in that position where you could end up with a crash. But just an unfortunate situation there with Jordan Buster and with Ford Martin. Not intentional by either party. Of course, it is a tough break for either one of them, and for Reed Wilson, just an innocent bystander in all of that, trying to escape. So we will once more end up under the yellow flag. And Devin, we've seen this race change quite a bit. We sort of got into a rhythm of long green flag stretches and did get broken up by some cautions here and there, but we did have some solid green flag runs. Is now the portion of the race where it's cautions breed cautions?
I'm not even thinking about that right now, Kenneth. I'm thinking that the bet is made, because at the very least, 8 of the top 10 all have an extra tire set left. Now, the guys behind them, there's still a few of them. The Rabilis definitely has a tire set left. Vargas has a tire set left. I don't know if Buster or Soar might have a tire set left, but at that point, so many people have an extra set of tires sitting on pit road that you almost can't even utilize them. There's gonna be too many cars in front of you potentially on tires that just really aren't that old until we get maybe another 10 or 15 laps down the road. Then you're getting a track position at that point, being on equal tires with the rest of the guys, or being on new tires with the rest of the guys. It's one of the things that bugs me the most, but especially when I'm racing this league. You spend all this time, tire conservation, run on these old tires, and keep that extra set on pit road. You don't get any money back if you don't use them, right? So you got a bunch of guys with tire sets left. It'd be a dogfight, and you're putting yourself in bad pit position. So I don't think we're going to see many guys, unless you're more towards the back of the field, go for that extra tire set here. Forget another caution in the next 10, 15 laps. 5 laps to go is too late, I think. So where you're set right now on the grid, the bet's made. You're ready to go. So what you have right now, tire set or not, your track position right now is what you have, and you have to make something of it here if you want a good finish here in these final 25 laps.
And if you do come down pit road, like you said, when you lose that track position, you're putting yourself at the mercy of the entire mid-pack. And what we've seen so far to the mid-pack, we've seen contact, we've seen cautions come from that area of the field. So if you do elect for those fresh tires, good luck trying to get by the absolute melee of the mid-pack before you find yourself in a position where those tires will be fruitful and it will be beneficiary in your situation. So at this point, we'll have another caution, 24 laps to go when we grab the green flag restart, and this race has been all in the hands of James Bigford ever since he aggressively took the lead in the first 2 laps of tonight's event. He has never looked back, even under strategy. He's been able to hold on to the lead. Now, Mario Miranda has been sort of the second fiddle in all of this. While he's taken the place of Adam Cabot, we don't exactly know what the Oklahoma native has in store, whether he's holding back on the 29 and whether he will unleash his full potential when we get later in this race as he chases his first Monday Night Racing Pro Series win. Pace truck is in pit road. Bigford will have discretion on the restart. Blake McCandless and Nick Olsen rounding out row number 2. Green flag back in the air with 24 to go from Charlotte.
That might have been the best jump so far by Miranda, or maybe it's just the worst so far by Bigford, because right behind Miranda, McCandless and Olsen are on the prowl. They are right there on the rear bumper of that Oklahoma number 89 machine. And again, James Bigford starting to create a gap. 25, 24, at this time 23 go. You can't let that 29 get too far ahead. The shorter this stint becomes, I think the more difficult it's going to be to track that car down.
Last thing you want to do if you're Miranda is let the 29 open up some room and just have a chance to relax. You want him to be on pins and needles for the rest of this run as it starts to wind down. The look on board with Nick Olsen, the North Carolina native, on the outside of Blake McCandless. This has been one of the best battles off of the restarts we've seen as of late. The Grit Esports Chevrolet stays up top. He's going to keep his foot in it. McCandless is going to hold 4 on the bottom. And Olsen, after finishing 11th last week, is looking to elevate in the point standings with a good finish tonight. He gets the nose ahead to the start-finish line. And a look on board with Miranda. He loves the sight Devin on the rear bumper.
And there's a handful of guys here in this top 5, top 10. They have the ability to run 90%, 85% consecutively for 22 laps. And if you're able to do that, I mean, there's nothing to lose right now. You're not saving anything right now. A driver like me, I can't go all out for the next 22 laps. I would destroy my right front tire, probably the right rear 2 in this situation. But there's a lot of guys up here, Bigford, Miranda, Olsen, McCandless, Turner, Cabot. These guys all know how to utilize this car at 85, 90, 95% and keep that consistency through the next 20 laps. So these guys are not going to leave anything out there right now. If there's not a caution up next, they're leaving everything out there. As you see almost all the way down to the apron, Adam Cabot to the inside here, the number 5 machine of Bailey Turner.
And Bailey Turner was trying to shut the door on the back bumper. Both of them have been teammates, and they've worked together so many times in their tenure in this series, but now going head-to-head for P5 on the racetrack. And don't look now, Matt Stallneck, Brandon Houff, Chase Cabry on the background as well. So they might have something to say for Cabot and Turner if they get a little hectic. But for now, Stallneck and Houff looks like they're going to go side by side for that 7th place position. But you made a good point about trying to consistently drive it.
Trouble, Colt Cabry and the 54 LaFont get together. They're spinning out. Sexton's in the wall.
Sexton sideways up into the outside barrier. One car travels to the apron sideways. That is the 54 of Steve LaFont, who is the 2nd car involved in the mishap. And we'll take a look entering turn 3. It looks like a 4-car incident, Devin. Started indeed with that 51 and the 54.
And I've been in the Discord chat with LaFont since almost season number 1. I don't think a lot of people understand the speed that he actually has. He's running well at 16th. I can't quite tell. He might have came down on the 51 there and got into him and creates kind of this mess. We'll get a closer shot here in a second, but Cabry in the black and yellow number 51 machine. And then you have the black and white number 53 of LaFont, which I'm going to have to relearn because I've never seen him in that number before. Yeah, that's a little awkward there. They were just kind of leaning on each other. I think LaFont maybe came down early potentially there, and then they just stack up behind him. Ooh, Nick Olsen on pit road. Olsen, McCandless, Turner, they're all going for 4 tires here.
You're right, many of the leaders are coming in, and Mario Miranda expresses his disappointment on the radio. So we'll look there again at the incident between Colt Cabry and Steve LaFont. The behind-the-wall media goes for a spin. And the 3 of Gary Sexton also involved, but there are the leaders. That is basically everybody. Approximately, I'd say 20th on back coming in, but it's a huge gaggle of cars. James Bigford, Mario Miranda, Presley Sora, Ronnie Osmer among those who are staying out. And there's a look at Bigford. I'm not sure if he likes this call to stay out.
Bigford is a pretty straight cat. I mean, you don't see a lot of emotion on his face, but I don't like the emotion on it right now. 21 lap old tires. The top 4 all have 20 lap old tires. Bigford, Miranda, Sora, Osmer. After that, you have Colin Fern. Monin Ronham has now put himself into 6th, and Ford Martin all have 8 lap old tires. Blake McCandless in 8th will be the first car on Freshies. I was really curious about this, Kenneth. Who was going to go take that final set of tires? You're going to have a 15-lap race to the finish here.
It is going to be everybody 8th on back to have come down pit road. So it is going to be a monumental call for those who are willing to stay out. One of them is Ford Martin, who joins us now. Ford, a big call here with 18 laps to go. What's the strategy behind it? And what are you thinking right now as we wind down this race?
It's a little frustrating there at the very end. I think Jordan Busford just ran out of talent and decided to wreck us. So that's the frustrating part. So we'll see how this goes here. I have the best tires. I think just about as far as guys in front of me. So we'll see what happens here on this restart. I think we ran about maybe 8 laps or so on. So we'll see what happens here and hope for the best.
It's been a chaotic race so far, and I can imagine, this mix of old and fresh tires is going to get a little chaotic. Are you expecting more yellows before this race is all said and done?
Yeah, probably. We'll probably have about 2 or 3 more, and then that would really hurt me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here.
All right, we'll take a look as the restart comes in. Ford, we certainly appreciate the time. Good luck on the restart.
All right, thanks.
Ford Martin will bring in P number 7. That's where he is going to be when we bring it back to green flag action. And as Ryan Bauer shows us in our broadcast chat, the top 4 have 21 lap old tires or worse. Most of them at 22. When we get this green flag, it'll be 23 for most of them. And so for Bigford stress, what it looked like as everyone came down pit road, It's going to be big here to see exactly how everybody shapes up as we get to the final 16 laps here from Charlotte. Blake McCandless is the first driver on fresh tires. Here's a look on board to the green flag. And look at the speed he gains in 1 and 2. Being able to get by the 07 of Martin and trying to get by the 44 of Rahman. He tries to look on the outside. He'll stay behind the 44, so a bit of a conservative approach here, Devin, entering 3 and 4. And the fresh tire cars not exactly showing their stuff yet, but just going to slowly work their way up there. 3 wide out of turn 4.
And McCandless crossing over off of turn number 4. I think he didn't get the run that he needed off of turn number 2 on those cold tires. Didn't quite get back to the gas as he needed. Case Cabring gets wicked sideways and then the wall off the door. Hoff.
He's trying to keep it straight. He does. Will stay green for Martin in the middle on the back straightaway. Look at Vargas on the apron, heading for turn 3, using all the space available. He dives in on Cole Cabring's machine, and here come the fresh tire cars. McCandless has found himself to 6. Now the inside of Colin Fern, a bit of contact before turn 1.
McCandless is in the catbird seat, and Bigford in the worst situation he has been on in any restart so far with the other old tire drivers. He has not even gapped half a second so far. That's been unusual here tonight. 55 blocking McCandless all the way down to the apron. They come back up the track. It's not going to be a contest. That 71 too fast right now.
And Olsen right behind, also on fresh rubber. He needs to play his cards correctly here, because as the 71 tries to work his way through slower traffic, Olsen has the benefit of just running through the competition. He'd be able to just get better momentum. A caution will come out as a result. Trouble further back. Steve Alfont spun around before turn 1.
Well, this is going to be interesting.
So if you're Bigford, is this the right chance to come down? Is this the opportunity? As we'll look at what happened with the Font. I think this was a single car incident trying to fight Gary Sexton.
Yeah, you know, he's squirreling, and it's so hard. Once the car coming off of 4, when you get on the throttle too hard, and you come off of 4 without all 4 tires underneath you, I mean, unless you completely get out of the gas and coast, you're not going to get back to control. On 4 with Brett Baldack. Yeah, you can see, that's the worst part, especially on fresh tires at intermediate with these race cars. If you do not work on getting all 4 tires back underneath you, you're a goner. It doesn't matter if it's all the way through the straightaway. It doesn't matter if it's 5 seconds later, half a second later. That's a death sentence.
Oh, so this is going to be a tough decision for these guys up front.
I don't know if it is, Kenneth. I don't know if you can waste this track position. I mean, if you're Bigford and you pit right now, you're going all the way back to 29th on this restart.
Well, look at this.
I think the bed's made. I think it's too late.
Well, no one's going to come in. So
it's too late, and it's too late in another way, too, because McCandless restarts 3rd here. I mean, the 71 car is going to be on that 29 car's bumper the second they get off the line. This is going to have to be a clinic here from James Bigford trying to get some Ryan Newman wide 29 bumper on that front straightaway. We're going to go green with, what, 9 laps to go? I mean, Bigford's going to have that pressure breathing down his neck instantaneously.
And the thing is, you just feel helpless at this stage, right? If you're Miranda and Bigford, you spent the bulk of this race up front. And if you're Bigford, you spent basically the entire race up front. Now you have to concede to a fresh tire Blake McCandless, who is as quick as can be as this race has come down to a close. And I'm sure that if you're Bigford or Miranda, you have to give it all the fight you can. But with 21 lap older tires than McCandless and even everybody else on fresher tires, Nick Olsen, Matt Stolnick, Adam Cabot, if they're able to get by, you're just letting the wind just blow in their direction. You have nothing you can do. So, I mean, this has to be a back against the wall call with 10 laps to go.
Honestly, Bigford's best friend right now is Mario Miranda. Not necessarily because he's an ally, but because if Miranda does not take off on this restart well, and McCandless can get to the outside of 1 and 2, I mean, Bigford has no shot once McCandless gets to the right rear quarter panel. I think the hope for Bigford here is to keep the 71 behind him through 1 and 2, and if he can block him down to the apron maybe, down the back straightaway, I think Bigford will definitely do that. If you can keep him behind you going into 3 and 4, you have a shot. But if McCandless gets next to him at any point in this first lap, I think the 71 is going to drive away. So It's gonna take a lot of defense here from Bickford to make something happen. I've been trying to shoehorn this in the entire time, and it just hasn't really worked out, but did want to give a big congrats to Chase Cabry after he got on a knee and posted last weekend that Haley Deegan said yes. Huge congratulations to Haley and Chase and their future together, but really cool moment for them coming to the season finale that following weekend too. So big congrats to Chase, and yeah, he needs to get Haley in the league. No, I'm kidding. But when it comes down to this restart here, we're gonna agree with 9 laps to go, and if McCandless goes through, Olsen is right behind that 71 car. So if Bickford leaves the inside door open at any point, the 71 and the 24 are going by.
It's nothing else but a door open there for McCandless, and he'll let everybody else by. The problem here with these old tire cars is also the formation of this restart, because McCandless is on the inside of row number 1. If Bickford goes off in the normal restarts like he has been, that's going to allow McCandless, Olsen, even the other driver behind them, Adam Cabot, who is 7th, rather not Adam Cabot, Matt Stolnick, who is 8th, going to be on the inside, all of them. So they'll be able to beat all the guys on the outside, and there will be no possibility of a stack up here, because all the old tire cars, most of them are up top. Presley Sora, who might have been a factor here on old tires to hold back these fresh tire guys, he's on the outside. He is no factor on Blake McCandless and some of the other guys in this race that might have a shot at tonight's race win. 9 laps to go to the green flag. Miranda actually tries to go first. Bickford goes later. It stacks McCandless up. It's going to shuffle everybody together.
That's
in a big crash. Nick Olsen, Matt Stolnick, Brandon Houff, hard into the wall, and the caution is out immediately, taking out multiple fresh tire runners.
Boy, where did that start at? That was maybe one of the most ridiculous restarts I've kind of ever seen in Monday Night Racing. I've seen a lot of crazy restarts in this league, myself out the front windshield. Bickford was waiting as long as possible, stacks up the inside lane, and the chaos starts from there. They're 4 wide down the front straightaway, and that's not going to work in Charlotte going into the second part of the tri-oval. That's just not going to work. Yeah, so watch Bickford here. Miranda gets ahead of him, the 29 car, gets into the restart zone. I'm curious, I gotta look if he slowed down or kept consistent speed there, because it stacks up the inside lane, and you just can't go 4 wide down there. Everyone's gunning for every position possible with under 10 to go, and that's just how it works. That's how that was gonna work no matter what happened.
Bickford was waiting to go here, still at 57, 56 miles an hour, while Miranda hops on the gas pedal because he's expecting Bickford to go like usual. He does not. And so it brings the 71 to a halt. The 24 has to slow down. The 41, who's already on the gas pedal, as they get stacked up, he's forced 3 wide in the middle and then makes that contact with Cabot. He gets loose while going through the gears, and it's a recipe for disaster at the front. Here's a look from Stolnick.
What are you going to do with your Matt Stolnick? You step on the brakes, get ran over, you go down the middle 4 wide, you get doored. There's not really a lot of options there. What I'm going to say, masterful restart from James Bickford. He consistently held through the entire restart zone 56 miles per hour. The entire restart zone. When he got to the end of the restart zone, he pumped the gas. Flawless restart from Bickford. It's on everyone else behind him, and Miranda not following Bickford, and it leads to this.
And they're discussing this right now on radio chat, but there has been a huge development on 2 fronts. For Miranda, Paul Sutton, race control has given him an end-of-line penalty for the restart violation for going a little too early as Bickford was waiting to hop on the gas pedal, and Blake McCandless, who was looking for the race win tonight, either alt Ford or suffered some sort of connectivity issue, packet loss. McCandless is out of tonight's race.
Wow, that is gut-wrenching right now, because that was Blake McCandless's race to lose. And just like that, I mean, we had a row of drivers on fresh tires on that inside lane. Now the next drivers, yeah, McCandless listed as out of this race. You see at the bottom of the left side of your screen, he's done. That car has exited the server and is now gone multiple laps down. The next car on fresh tires is someone who got damaged in that incident. That's Adam Cabot, who will start 3rd row outside. And all of a sudden, from a race that seemed like it was going to be a relentless and maybe frugal race to the finish for James Bickford, he's now back in control of this event.
And with this, Adam Cabot might just watch James Bickford capture the points lead coming out of Charlotte. It was a 7-point difference between those two coming into this race. Both of them easily some of the most consistent drivers in the season, up to date. With Bickford's win at Watkins Glen last week, catapulted him in the standings, put him in that range for striking against Adam Cabot. And this win might just cement him further as the points leader and championship favorite. We're going to fully see exactly what happens here. Looks like race control does clear the black flag after discussion here with Mario Miranda. So the 89 will fall back to third. He will not relinquish any position, and he'll be just fine. So the Oklahoma native will not take a trip to the rear of the longest line, and he'll be okay. He'll have a shot still at tonight's win. So there's a lot going on tonight. It looks like we've heard from Blake McCandless in chat. Unfortunately, game crashed during the yellow. Said it was fun while it lasted. Tough break there for McCandless, looking for his first Monday Night Racing win. Let's get a talk with Ronnie Osmer in the 55. Ronnie, you're inside the top 5. You're on 33 lap old tires. What's going through your mind as this race comes to a close?
Just hoping to just hang on to the top 10 here. Just really need a good points day, and I've been feeling confident all day. Just hope to hang on to it.
You've got Presley Soar, Miranda, Bickford, Fern. A lot of guys at same margin of tire life on them. I mean, how do you try to attack this now? Is it full aggression in the last couple of laps? How do you try to attack the final 5 laps of this race as to opposed to maybe a 2 lap to go restart?
It's just go and hang on. I know with these cars you're gonna slip and slide if you're on stickers or you're on old tires. So just gonna push as much as I can, and hang on, defend, and if they make mistakes in front of me, take advantage of them.
All right, no doubt this is going to be a crazy restart. Ronnie, we certainly appreciate the time. We always love seeing that Lumina on the top of the screen on your camera. Beautiful, beautiful paint. And we'll see you on the restart. Best of luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ronnie Osmer getting ready with his Dude Wipes Chevrolet on the outside of row number 2. So James Bickford will have the lead. Miranda in second, Sora third, Osmer fourth, Fern to round out the top 5. Adam Cabot in 6th, Moden Rahman in 7th, Ryan Vargas in 8th, Bailey Turner 9th, Cole Cabry to round out the top 10. James Bickford is looking to go 2 in a row here in Season 7 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series. Miranda looking still for his first win in his Pro Series career. And then there's Presley Sora, who's won multiple times, former champion in the series. Ronnie Osmer looking for his first. Colin Fern looking for his first in a while. Adam Cabot looking to grab his second win of the season as well. A lot on tap here with 4 laps to go. Here from Charlotte Motor Speedway, will this be the final restart we see tonight? The 29 will hop on the gas pedal. We're back under green, and it's a wiggle out of the Charlotte Phoenix Chevrolet. Miranda has a shot for turn 1.
Still has enough to clear the Miranda right up on the rear bumper and slides in right in the middle of Bickford and Sora somehow. Osmer with a big shake, and he's going to lose a couple of spots. He had the momentum, and it's all gone now.
Loses the spots as he goes up wide. Now he'll have to play defense against the 17 of Cabot. They will all play single file as the 44 of Rahman goes against Cole Cabry for the last spot inside the top 10. Bit of wiggles out of turn 4 and almost some contact. It'll be 3 laps to go for James Bickford this time by. And does Miranda have anything left in the tank?
Is it too little too late for Adam Cabot? The freshest tires in the field. He just got around Osmer for 5th. Vargas, Turner, Cabry all have fresh tires as well, but they're nearly a second out from the number 29 car.
That 29 has been dominant all night long, and there's a look at Cabot trying to go toe-to-toe versus Colin Fern. That's going to be for the 4th spot, and the Atlas Hair Care Product Chevrolet is going to look to keep his championship lead intact, but he's witnessing the 29 hold on to the lead. 2 to go this time by.
Bickford has this thing on cruise control. He has all night long been the fastest, most consistent, and every single lap he's been the best. It was his race to lose. Chaos happens behind him. 1 more lap to go. All he has to do is keep the 89 behind him. He misses the corner though, and here comes Miranda to the white flag.
White flag in the air from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Miranda has a shot, and it was a big run he gained in turns 3 and 4 to catch up to the 29. Now he has to make sure he fully breaks the armor that Bickford has built over the entire race. Some more of a wiggle out of the Charlotte Phoenix Chevrolet. And on the final approach to turns 3 and 4. Miranda will have one more chance. The 29 will hold still. The 89 tries one more time. But out of the final corner, James Bickford looks for 2 in a row, and he's got it from Charlotte.
Boy, was that a scare there at the end for James Bickford. Missed the inside through 3 and 4, was able to correct it just in time, and Miranda never had a shot to get to a quarter panel and try to make a move. James Bickford, the first multi-time winner in Season 7 of Monday Night Racing.
And he is the first driver since Shane Van Gisbergen in Season 3 of the Pro Series to win 2 races in a row. You have to applaud the way that James Bickford was able to hold tough throughout all of that. Fresh tire cars around him, tire strategy, fuel strategy, multiple yellows. And for James Bickford, he brings us tonight's Mach10 Digital winning moment. Your partner for stunning video production and digital marketing solutions. And the 29 does not miss a beat from that summer series. He grabs his 3rd career Monday Night Racing win. As Bickford continues to celebrate here on the front stretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll take a break, but on the other side, post-race coverage, we'll have interviews with the top 3 here from the Highland Homes Roofing 200. You won't miss a thing, live on Podium Esports.
Mach 10. Let's give Mach 10.
You're clear for takeoff.
33 laps counted down here from Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we had a race to the line worthy of note. James Bigford, Mario Miranda basically had a side-by-side battle brewing up. If there was at least one more lap at the 89, tried to get to Bigford to no avail. James Bigford grabs his second straight win of season number 7, his third career Monday Night Racing W. Miranda in second. Presley Sora, after what's been somewhat of a tumultuous race for him, he closes off the podium tonight. Adam Cabot in the 17 recovered from a spin midway through pit road strategy. He ends up in 4th. Ryan Vargas started 28th tonight, and despite his claims that he is not good in this car, I plan to not believe him for as long as I exist. Top 5 finish for the 26th tonight. Bailey Turner ends up in 6th place. Cole Cabry, nice run for him as he closes off the top 7. Monin Rahman comes home in 8th. Colin Fern to finish in 9th. And Alex Monteferrante, Devin Henry, rounds out the top 10.
And let's not forget, Bailey Turner was going Herbie fully loaded and was on the catch fence earlier on in this race and somehow just slides outside the top 5. Chase Cabry will settle for the 11th place finish. Ronnie Osmer comes home in P12. Michael Fisher in 13th. How about DJ Cummings? He had a relentlessly difficult opening to this race. He'll slide into the 14th position. Corey Deucer in 15th spot. Brandon Brown comes back after being rolled over on his roof. He finishes 16th. Ford Martin, P17. Nick Olson, after the chaos at the end of that race, has to settle for the 18th position. Josh Slate in 19th. And your pole sitter, a roller coaster day for Brandon Hoff. He ends it in 20th.
21st is Jordan Buster in the 8 car. Brett Baldick is 22nd. 23rd goes to Steve Alfont in the behind the wall media, number 54. Reed Wilson is 24th. 25th goes to Mark Ravillas in the 99. Robbie Lyons in the 2 is 26th. 27th will go to Gary Sexton. He'll be the last car to finish on the lead lap. It'll be 7 laps down for Matt Stonick in 28th. Joey Padgett also 7th down from the lead lap. Drivers in 29th. Blake McCandless had his game crash near the end of the race, but basically had the win in the bag. Unfortunate end for the 71, but we'll see McCandless back sooner than later. He finishes the top 30 tonight. 31st is Noah Lewis, and Christopher Tate rounds out our 32 car field from Concord, North Carolina. And not too far away from Charlotte Motor Speedway is the Charlotte Phoenix office, the Carolina Esports Hub. I'm sure they're going absolutely insane as James Bigford grabs the win for the second straight time in Season 7. James, after last week's festivities and after what's happened tonight, does this win feel more rewarding than last week? Does it feel just as good? Where does it rank on your all-time MNR wins? 3 in your career so far.
Well, I mean, a win is a win, right? We took the Charlotte Phoenix Next Level Racing machine to victory lane back-to-back weeks, so I couldn't put one above another, but I can tell you this, it did feel great just to dominate the race. I had, Marco Bono, Matt Scott, and my dad helping me out through the race, trying to, pick out the strategies. We got super lucky when there was a caution coming out right as we went into pit road, so this one felt really good. I don't know if I could beat the SVG season 5 win in the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen, but this definitely ranks high because it's a win and we brought it home in first place.
And just want to say, second straight week that you have to hold off Mario Miranda in the closing laps. It was not a win that was easily decisive. It was you fighting against another driver tooth and nail. What was the pressure like behind the wheel as you were closing in on the end of the race?
Honestly, the biggest thing I was focused on is, number one, having a good restart. And as the tires started to wear out, it got really hard to get an advantage. And when that last and final happened, I was in a position where I didn't have as much of a buffer as I traditionally did. So I knew I just had to drive it in deep, make sure he didn't get to my rear end. So that's why I didn't pull away all that much. I felt the pressure of him possibly trying to send it in, but I think we had some room just because of how fast our machine was tonight. So at the end of the day, it was a little pressuring having to hold it off there at the very end, especially with the fastest car. But honestly, it was one of those good ones to dominate the race and then finish in first at the end.
Like you said, a win is a win, no matter how you take it, no matter how it ends up at the end. Now, officially, you have the points lead in this Monday Night Racing Season 7 campaign. You've certainly had one of the most consistent years up to date. These 2 wins have catapulted you further. How do you continue to ride that momentum onto the trucks at Bristol next week? You've definitely been growing the skill set over the last couple of seasons. Now is when you're in your prime, getting these W's now back to back. How does that feel moving forward into the regular season?
Honestly, it's just about eliminating mistakes. I think we've always had the speed. Obviously, Next Level Racing gave me this awesome chassis that has helped out tremendously from when I had my previous sim, and it was from 2007 when I was first hopping on iRacing. So this is much, much better. I can be a little bit more competitive. So that's been part of the building blocks and being a part of Charlotte Phoenix and having awesome partners as with it. But the ECCI wheel. That was, I think they had like a garage build and no force feedback. So we got an upgrade, and that has tremendously helped in our sim racing competitiveness. And yeah, that's honestly, it's also about eliminating mistakes, as I mentioned, though. When it comes to sim racing, just making sure everything's in the right place at the right time is huge. So I've definitely built on that from my experience being an MNR, and now got to put ourselves in more positions to win. But next week is going to be a lot about qualifying, being in the front, staying away from the wrecks, and just having that raw speed like we've always had.
Well, for now, you get to enjoy your third career Monday Night Racing win, second in a row. And in sort of a poetic twist, you're the first driver to go 2 in a row since SVG did it back in like season 3. So, I mean, I guess that first win you win SVG, a bit of a battle. Now you become the first driver since him. I think pretty cool on history. And certainly Charlotte Phoenix on the other side of the road, however far they are from Charlotte Motor Speedway, they're probably going absolutely insane. Really big win tonight here in the sim. James, on behalf of all of us at the Podium Esports broadcast team, congratulations on the W. Can't wait to see you at Bristol Motor Speedway next week. But for now, enjoy that win, man.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
James Bickford, the winner for the second straight time here in season number 7. To finish second for the second straight week is Oklahoma's Mario Miranda. Devin Henry, you've got him.
Hey, I'd be thrilled to go back-to-back second-place finishes in Monday Night Racing, but I know for Mario Miranda is so close to a victory on 2 occasions, and on this one, boy, in those closing laps, Mario, you reeled in that rear bumper trying to capitalize on mistakes from James and just didn't have enough time. What else did you need to get there and make the move happen, try to win this race?
I think I should have used the bumper instead of not using it. I just didn't want to pass him that way, especially how the race was going. Everyone up front was relatively clean, and I try to always be a clean driver, and especially after the restart before the controversy with that, I didn't want another controversy of potentially wrecking the leader out of the race lead. So I'm not content with second, but I'm not mad about second either. I think 2 second place finishes in a row in this league is an achievement of itself. So I'm coming home happy tonight.
And I would say big momentum going into Bristol. I don't think you need momentum because you're one of the guys in this league that's already showing kind of the star power and the talent that you have. But back-to-back second place finishes here puts you in a good spot in the points for a really, really intriguing playoff format. So how do you take just the momentum, the quality finishes, try to move that forward? And I'm not even talking about a win in the future, but just staying consistent so you can make that playoff battle. And then when it comes, still be on a hot streak. What's it going to take to keep doing that?
I think I just gotta, keep the mental strength up. A lot of these guys in this league are just relatively just faster than me, and I find myself just being able to put myself in the right places at the right time. And I just need to keep the confidence up heading into these next few races. Really, probably work on my strategy a little bit better. But I think I just need to be more consistent, like what I'm doing now. Just keep rolling. I can't stop anytime soon. Just gotta keep going.
And such a unique regular season as well. We start at Indianapolis, then Daytona, Michigan, Watkins Glen, now Charlotte. Next week, our first short track at Bristol. Your expectations go into the last great Coliseum.
I just love short tracks. There's something about short tracks that I like. I can't get away from them. Everything from Bristol to Richmond to North Wilkesboro. I love it, especially in the trucks. Did Road to Pro earlier this year with the trucks at Bristol. Had a relatively good showing there, relatively good qualifying. So I feel good for next week. I think I can, as long as I keep it clean, I can get an easy top 5, easy top 10. But that's the biggest thing with Bristol. You just got to keep it clean, stay out of trouble, because it is the Great Coliseum. You are bound to find trouble at some point.
Another second place finish for the Oklahoma esports driver, Mario Miranda. Congratulations, and we'll see how you keep on doing. Move forward.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mario Miranda, your second place finisher. It was a wild day for the third place driver. Presley Sora comes home on the podium with Kenneth Bueno.
It certainly was a long night for Presley Sora, but relentless was the word I'd use to describe your night, Presley. I mean, as far back as beneath the top 20. You had a different tire strategy when you stayed out earlier in the race. You had to sort of claw and fight your way through, but you find yourself in the right place at the right time. You earn this top 3. How good does it feel based on just exactly everything that happened tonight?
Yeah, it was fun. I don't think I was in the same spot for more than like 2 or 3 laps at a time. I was 2 laps down at one point because of a strategy that we were playing, and then getting me up to like almost the lead. Or actually, I did lead at one point, so I was anywhere from first to last in that entire race, and clawed back from 2 laps down. I got 1 lap back on speed, and then took a wave round on another one. And we were like a set up on tires most of the time, so we were trying to use that to our advantage, and I just clawed away at it. I had one restart where I picked up like 6 or 7 spots in one corner, and I was digging, and I was pushing hard there to catch those 2 at the end, but they just got just a little bit too far ahead of me, and I thought maybe they'd get into each other and I'd have a chance, but I'm really happy with P3.
And to come away from all of that chaos there, I mean, with strategy going along, fresh tire cars, did you sort of think about that in any case on how you were trying to play defense there in those closing laps?
Yeah, the strategies were so all over the place. Like, I didn't expect that many people at all to pit, at least not up at the front, and that really caught me by surprise. So restarting P3, I was not expecting that at all. And I thought I was going to have to do a lot more defending than I really had to, but I think we had that one crash, took out a couple of them, and then the old tires held up really well. So I'll take it. I thought I was probably going to end up 7th or 8th there, but kept digging, and a couple restarts went our way. I know a few guys spun the tires behind me, like I did after that one interview earlier. That was not my best restart in the world, but yeah, the strategy was all over the place the whole time. I'm sure it was hard to follow up there. It was even tougher to follow down here. So made for a fun race. These cars are amazing. It's like so driver talent dependent, and it's so much fun to drive. They're so great. They're so great. Like, the horsepower is amazing. And if we could run these things like every week, I'd be happy with that. But the fun combos like Pro 2s and stuff like that are fun as well. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Should put me in a really, really good spot in points because I was already coming in this P3. So I should hopefully be at least top 2 or 3 still. I mean, I'm sure I'm 3rd. I'm sure I broke that tiebreaker. So yeah, I am very, very happy.
You know what? I'm not going to debate you on that stance on the Gen 4 cars, because if it was my decision, I'd be picking these cars every week. They're so much fun to watch and so much fun to race for you guys out on the speedway. Now we head to Bristol with the trucks next week. Your thoughts, your expectations, how you're going to try and plan for that one?
Oh boy, that is going to be a race. Yeah, short track racing does not normally go that well in iRacing, so I expect a decent amount of cautions, and it's going to be a race of adversity. Whoever survives is going to come out the winner of that one. Bristol's not one of my best tracks on iRacing, but I'm sure I can figure it out. It's been a while since I've run it on here, and definitely a while since I've run it in like a competitive manner. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun race at least. It'll just be down to who gets wrecked last, probably, unfortunately, but that's sometimes how this stuff goes.
Well, regardless, it's a top 3 finish tonight from Charlotte. Like you said, going to be a big booster in the point standings as we move forward in the regular season. Presley, on behalf of all of us at Podium Esports, congratulations on the podium and looking forward to seeing you at Bristol next week.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Presley Sora, from basically hell and back, makes his way to 3rd after an outstanding race here from the 1.5 miler. We've got one more interview before we close things out for our broadcast on Podium Esports. Devin, you've got a very special Ryan Vargas who says he's not good at these cars. I say I don't believe it.
Well, I think Ken has said on the record that Ryan is a liar. I'm not going to call him a liar, but I'm not going to call you a truther either, because holy cow, somehow find a way to get back to 5th after all that chaos. You said it was luck, but I think it takes a little bit more than luck sometimes. Explain how in the world you're able to make everything happen to be in 5th with guys like Turner, Cabri, and Rahman just right behind you.
I mean, I felt good enough in the car, right? And when all the leaders pit there, really late, I think it was with 15 to go or something, I just kind of knew if I were to be one of those guys that stayed out, I would just fall like a rock. So, I wanted to do what they did, and I just knew that if I can get to the outside of people, I can roll the top, roll the momentum, you know, and really just keep the momentum up and make sure I, you know, get the lunge that I need, and it worked. We definitely were aided by that restart incident. We were able to pick up a couple cars there, and then we were really able to pick them off late, you know, after that too, just one by one, you know, jumper to the top, jumper to the bottom. I don't know what it was, but that last run genuinely felt the best. I think it might have just been because the temps went down, but the critical path security, Chevy here tonight looked really good, and I'm wearing a lot of different buddies. My Shenko buddies were out there. I'm drinking a nice cold can of Williamsburg Contracting, and just really enjoying myself.
Second top 10 of the year. It bounces you unofficially into a playoff spot, tied for 13th with Gary Sexton. But this schedule just so dramatic with how many different kinds of tracks. Of course, the combos, always a staple of Monday Night Racing, being so unique. What does it take to be consistent in a regular season like this? And honestly, kind of short, too, to be able to make that 16-car playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short season. I mean, you know, this year I haven't been able to put as much focus into MNR as I normally would, and you know, that's just because of travel reasons and other stuff like that, other factors, and
just going to Europe, it's whatever.
Yeah, you know, other stuff, and so I haven't been able to put as much focus into it. So to actually be still in a playoff spot, you know, after all of those issues, well, not issues, but you know what I mean, all the other outside factors, it's that definitely shows the strength that I have behind the wheel this season. You know, even with the issues and the opening race and so on and so forth. So just happy to run these cars, you know, happy to Davin did a fantastic job painting these cars, you know, over the summer, and it's always cool to represent Critical Path and all the other amazing partners. Williamsburg Contracting, you know, Shenko on my shirt here. It's a lot of fun. We have a blast. Patrick, I'm sure he's watching, or at least going to catch some highlights of this, and means a lot to work with great people and be able to have a good looking car to boot.
And I think everyone has a different opinion about short tracks on sim racing. Your thoughts on going to Bristol next week in the trucks?
Oh man, I didn't know that was the next race. Look, at the end of the day, you could hit as many things as you want, and you'll still be able to be up to speed. I mean, yeah, I won't be. I'll try not to be scared. But at the end of the day, it's all about trying to make sure you maximize on everybody else's mistakes, right? I don't think that Bristol is one of my stronger tracks on iRacing. I have a bad case of burning up the tires there. It's just always been my problem there. It's been my problem in these cars too. Like I told y'all, I stink in these things. I can't believe I actually finished 5th. I think it's just the way the cookie crumbled tonight. So going into Bristol in the truck, luckily I'm comfortable in those. Luckily I'm comfortable in the truck. Luckily I'm comfortable enough at Bristol, but with how Bristol is on the sim, it's anybody's guess on how it'll go.
First top 5 of season 7, Ryan Vargas comes home in 5th. Congrats on the finish, Ryan.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
That's Ryan Vargas bringing up the top 5 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And just like that, Devin, we head to the next race. Short track, Bristol Motor Speedway hosts the next race of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series with the NASCAR trucks. First time we see it in a while, Devin. That's going to be a wobbler.
Yeah, I'm still not sure if I'll be racing in that or not. I got to make sure I get some practice in for this one because, boy, oh boy, I mean, we talk about breaking points here at Charlotte. I mean, with all the long runs that you can get at a short track and trying to attack, trying to conserve, trying to run all the different lines that are available at Bristol, there's a lot that goes into being able to be successful at the last great Coliseum. I got to get some sim time in this week for sure.
Yeah, Bristol is going to be challenged. Very fast half-miler, very disorienting half-miler. Also a very physical 1.5-miler as well. James Bickford grabs his second straight Monday Night Racing win this season. Devin, what a season it's turning out to be for the Charlotte Phoenix number 29. He is the points leader going into Bristol. Now he's starting to turn up the intensity, and it's getting a little bit scary. It's starting to be like scary hours with Drake. Sort of a Drake reference there to the rest of the field.
But you know what, Kenneth? With this new playoff format, a bracket format, I truly believe that anything can happen. Someone can go out and win the rest of the regular season. I do not care. I think once we get to the playoffs, it's going to be open field for anyone to go and take advantage of that system, find their way to victory lane, outduel the other 3 drivers in their bracket, and find themselves in a championship in some really unique combinations here on iRacing. So Bickford right now, I think obviously you got to call him the favorite with just how well he has produced through 4 races, but there's still a lot more to go.
But for now, at least, James Bickford feels like the man at the top of the mountain. He's at the summit after winning tonight's race from Charlotte Motor Speedway. That will do it for tonight's coverage of the Highland Homes Roofing 200. For Ford Martin and everyone at Monday Night Racing for making this happen. For Brandon Davis and Michael Hall in race control. For Gary Sexton at Podium Esports. Our camera builder Dougie Beard. Our overlay builder Michael Hall. Cameron Aubernon on our Podium Esports social media. And for the crew on the broadcast tonight. For our producer Ryan Bauer and my colleague in the booth Devin Henry. My name is Kenneth Bueno. Thank you so much for watching our broadcast of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Mach10 Digital. We'll see you at the fastest half mile, Bristol Motor Speedway, 1 week from tonight.